Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to MMA on the Island, episode number 9 here. We're one away from the illustrious 10, the decade. But for now, we are on episode 9, and we're back in our usual setting. I know we had the one episode with just me. It was missing Aiden dearly. And then we had a little Zoom action last week, a little bit of a virtual podcast, which I thought turned out great, even though we weren't together. And now we're back. Got a little bit of new things here. We got a backdrop. My boy Bob still hasn't found this shirt, so some things don't change. A new camera, hopefully the quality is a little bit better than what we're doing with on the phone. But we're coming back, better than ever here today. It's a new segment as well. It's an exciting day for the MMA on the Island podcast. But happy to be back here, Aiden.
It feels like it's been too long, brother.
It has. It has. Even when we were setting up, I was like, man, it feels like it was only 3 weeks, but it feels like it's been so much longer. That's a good sign because that me and you both wanted to be here.
Absolutely.
But obviously, life gets in the way sometimes. But we're back, and we should be good for the rest of the summer and for the foreseeable future. We should be back every week. No hiccups, no bumps. I know you guys missed us. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago now. Not exactly sure, but for the Holly Holm card. But yeah, so that was last week for the Holly Holm card. But let's be honest. I watched actually a little bit of the card. And there wasn't too many crazy exciting fights. Nothing really worth talking about in the grander scheme of this MMA world, which has absolutely exploded. The Holly Holm fight wasn't fantastic, but one of the things I did miss out on being able to talk about was all the crazy news in the fight game that has gone on these last 2 weeks, and we're going to get through all of that. So this is probably going to be a longer one, folks. So make sure you buckle in, get your popcorn ready, because you might be here for a while if you're just starting out tuning into today's episode. But we'll start with UFC London, and we'll recap the card, recap the last 4 fights. But before we do that, and this is something that I haven't heard anyone really talk about, but it was one of the prelims on the fight card. And it was a prelim I was actually looking forward to. I was familiar with both guys. I was excited to see them both compete. If my computer will load so I can get the exact pronunciations of the name. It was Mark Duplessis versus Joel Alvarez. And that fight ended with Alvarez in a submission in round 2. But for those of you who actually watched that fight, the only reason that Alvarez got that submission and that victory was because of the fact that Duplessis, I don't know if I'm saying it 100% correctly, but he got headbutt really bad. And he tried to get back and tried to make a an attempt to talk to the official and be like, I got headbutt, like I need a second, because he was dazed, like he was completely dazed. If you watch the fight back, completely dazed after he got hit in that headbutt, and then the referee was like, no, keep fighting, and then he got submitted like 30 seconds later. And that's a terrible thing for me, and something that I don't know why no one in the MMA community is talking about it, because I saw that and I'm like, that's absolutely ridiculous. That he's lost the fight. That's a loss on his record. No contest. There's no disputing it because he got submitted. Fair and square, but it wasn't fair and square. The referee made a mistake. The official made a mistake, and Duplessis, who was very much in that fight, paid the price for it. So that was a really bad thing. I just wanted to bring that more to light to the conversation, because I can't believe that that wasn't something that was kind of talked about and more controversial, because he only lost the fight because of that headbutt, because he clearly was not the same afterwards. I'm telling you, it might not have been exactly 30 seconds, but it was less than a minute after the collision with the heads before they end up the eventual stoppage. So that's my 2 cents on that situation. I'm not happy about it. But nonetheless, I feel bad for Duplessis, for Alvarez. He's a guy that looked really good in that fight as well, and I'm sure he wished that he got the win, in a more credible and less controversial fashion. But nonetheless, this is where we stand today, and Alvarez got another win, and for Duplessis, it's gonna be a loss on his record, but not one that he should put his head down at all about. So that's all I have to say for that fight in the prelims. But let's start talking about that main card, and let's start talking about Paul Craig.
Man.
Paul Craig.
He doesn't fail to he doesn't fail to surprise me. That's what
Truly.
Dude, when you think about it, right? He had that weird TKO loss against Johnny Walker. I don't know if it was elbows or hammer fists or whatever it was, but it was something weird. Like he loses to guys he shouldn't lose to. And I was telling Joe this before the podcast started. He's like Michael Johnson, but better, because this guy he's beaten 2 champs. He's beaten Ankalaev, he's the only reason. He's given Ankalaev his only loss. He's given Jamal Hill his only loss. Jamal Hill actually broke that fight. I'm sorry, broke his arm in that fight, right? So he's beating one champion, one championship contender, and now the prior number 14th ranked guy at middleweight submitted him. Well, not, I'm sorry, he didn't submit him. He was with elbows. He got him with.
Yeah.
Like this guy, I think he could be a problem at 185 because the weight cut didn't look too taxing on his body.
No,
he looked pretty healthy in there.
Looked really healthy.
He's a big 85. He's like 6'4". So going against a guy like Muniz who was ranked and to win the way he did, that's a good sign. And that's, I guess, the start of something bright for Paul Craig. And I guess the second chapter of his UFC career at a new division. So we'll see where he lands as he works his way up. It's going to be interesting to see, Joe.
Absolutely. And for Paul Craig, I mean, he looked in that first round, was very competitive. And, I got to give Muniz credit because Muniz is no joke. No. He is a very good fighter. And he looked great in that first round. I'm pretty sure that I had Muniz winning that first round. I just thought he made the cleaner connections. I don't know what the judges were said. He had those takedowns as well. And I thought he won round one. I mean, it was very close. I could have sawn it to Craig, but I thought Muniz won round one. But Paul Craig in round two completely flipped the switch and made the most of really a great opportunity. In that scramble and that takedown that he ended up getting. That led to the finish, just shooting over an overthrown right hand, just a veteran move and a guy who's so crafty on the ground as well. People, he's somebody that's known for his submissions and known for that triangle choke that he's gotten so many people with. But to get the KO TKO like that, just raining down punches and elbows on Andre Muniz, who looked helpless down there. I mean, it was impressive stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you were right. All three judges gave it 10 on Muniz.
They gave it to Muniz, so we were on the same page there. But but it was now that's a rare occasion, with these officials nowadays. But for Paul Craig, I mean, and it's weird in the rankings, and it's something that you brought up pre-show as well. For whatever reason, on the rankings, the Paul Craig moved up in light heavyweight. He didn't move up in middleweight. It wasn't ranked in middleweight.
But I clicked on a couple websites to say he's ranked. I don't know. I'm sure he's obviously ranked 14 for some reason. They didn't update it.
Well, I guess they didn't update it on the website because I was looking on the official UFC website. It doesn't say he's ranked yet. Because there is movement there. He did move up in light heavyweight.
I think he was 9 prior to that. Like when they announced it.
Well, I said he moved up. I don't know. It's all confusing on the website right now. So I guess we can't take anything that's on there for as truth, for now. But nonetheless, Paul Craig, a guy that I would like to see in middleweight. He looked good, and he would be a good test for someone like Brandon Allen. That's someone that I would like to see. Somebody who's very well rounded. Last 3 wins by submission for Brandon Allen, with obviously his most recent being that dominant performance against Bruno Silva back in June, what we talked about and we covered almost a month ago to the day now on that Emmett Deporia card. But nonetheless, somebody who's also very well rounded, also a good guy who's a submission specialist. So it'd be 2 really crafty submission artists going at it, and I'd love to see them roll. Obviously that fight. That would be one of those fights where you got 2 guys who are so elite on the ground that it'd probably stay standing up.
I know.
Because that's how it goes. You'd be like, oh, you're so excited to see 2 strikers, and then they'll have grappling for some reason. And then you're like, oh, I'm excited to see 2 grapplers who are really elite. And then they'll just stand up and box for 3 rounds. And you're just like, I don't understand. But for Craig Allen, I think that's a good matchup. I think both guys, big dudes. And I really don't know who I would lean in that fight.
Neither do I. And honestly, while you say that's the only fight that makes sense. So looking at the rankings now, right? I'll just go over the fights coming up real quick, very briefly. I don't know if you just saw Brunson and Dolidze are scheduled for 295. Mm-hmm. So that's 8 and 9. Costa, Strickland's, we'll talk about that, but I'm sure you guys have heard there's rumors he'll be fighting the champ. And I don't see obviously Paul Craig going anywhere past number 6. Maybe Craig and Vettori, but I think that's a big discrepancy in ranking. You got the number 5 ranked guy versus the number 14 ranked guy. So I doubt that's going to happen. But I do think, or maybe Hermanson. But with what you're saying though, like Allen and Craig being as elite and on the ground as they are, it's kind of like the opposite of and I know you guys probably, if you guys watch this podcast long enough, you guys know I'm a pretty big Colby Covington fan. But that was kind of like the first Covington and Usman fight. You know, they're both extremely like decorated wrestlers. I think both Covington, you know, Division I All-American. Usman won Division II Nationals. You know, they kept that first fight on the feet the entire time. Not one takedown was attempted. And then, ironically enough, in the second fight, Covington shot 11 takedowns. And on paper, they say he didn't land one, but I think he landed one or two.
I think
you guys watched that fight.
I think he did land one. I think you got to give him the one where
he had his back.
Yeah,
like, Usman was on his. But nonetheless, you know, it's weird because when you see like very similar styles go at it, sometimes, like you say,
weird stuff happens.
Exactly,
weird stuff happens.
That'd be a good matchup.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know who, because Allen's hot right now, dude. He's like won 5 or 6 in a row.
Yeah, I think I would lean Allen just because of the youth and the and just, you know, the kind of the confidence coming in. But Paul Craig he called out you know, Hamzat after the fight. He was
Bo Nickel too.
And Bo Nickel, like he was calling out guys, and he was, you know, wants to you know, he welcomes a challenge of someone who's decorated in the grappling department. You know, if you're calling out 2 guys that are that elite, you know, and known for their wrestling and their jiu-jitsu, you know, he's not afraid of anybody. No. So I love Paul Craig. He's one of my favorites. He's one of my favorite kind of under the radar guys that, you know, if you're not like a big fan, you may not recognize. If you're not like a, you know, like an actual dedicated MMA fan, you may not know him. But he's somebody who's, you know, fantastic and always puts on an exciting performance, whether he's on the winning or losing side. But for Andre Muniz, you know, he won round 1. He looked good in that round 1 and really round 2 up until that takedown when he just, you know, overthrew that right hand and led to an easy, you know, double leg for Craig that led to the finish. But I like him going against somebody because he has maintained his ranking as of now. We don't know yet because, you know, can't trust the UFC website right now because they're all over the place. But I like him going against a guy, and I think you're going to get his pronunciation better than me. And I think you know, I think it's like Caio Borello. I think he's saying it.
Barello.
Yeah,
really
Borello. I would call him Borello. Caio Borello, I think you know who he is. He last fought in April. And he's been on a little bit of a hot streak himself. The one via submission
the UFC's
in that last fight. Yeah, so 4 straight. So I like him. I know it's 2 Brazilians, and I don't know if there's a little conflict of interest there, but 2 Brazilians in Muniz and Borello. So I like that fight. I think both guys, you know, bring a lot to the table, and that would be an exciting one if there's no, of course, you know, bad blood or you know, or not. If there's no bad blood, no, I mean if there's no, you know, already allegiance, if they train at the same gym or something like that. Yeah. That's not something that I know offhand. So I like that fight though, hypothetically, in a hypothetical word from Muniz.
I do. I don't know. I would imagine that Muniz is probably going to get booted off the rankings, and I think they're going to keep Curtis on there, but we'll see what happens. Even still, though, Muniz would be the 16th ranked guy at that point. So yeah. if him and Chow, I don't know, fought or whatever.
Yeah.
Chances are Cal Barajo, I think he would sneak that 15th spot. And he said he wants to fight a ranked opponent next. So, I mean, just because he said it, that doesn't mean it's going to come into fruition. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think he's young. He's 31. And he looked promising in his last. I mean, he's looked promising so far in his UFC tenure. But, you know, that was actually, ironically, that was his first finish in the UFC. That submission win. All the other fights were decisions if people were talking crap or whatever. But, you know, he shut them up. And
a big win for him. And he's somebody that just, he has that intimidation factor going for him as well, because he just looks like a fighter, and he looks like someone that you don't want to you know, step into the octagon or, you know, even confront him in the street, because he looks like he'll mess you up just on the aesthetic alone.
He has one loss?
Not sure off the top of my head, but he's somebody who is, you know, again 4-0 in the UFC, so has a lot of, you know, credibility and has you know garnished the attention of the MMA world, if you will. But, you know, got to go to a fight that was really highly anticipated next at featherweight. Nathaniel Wood. Wow. I don't know where I went with that one, but against Andre Fili, a fight where both fighters were knocked down at one point. It was really, you know, a back and forth contest, with Nathaniel Wood able to etch out the decision. I think it was the right decision, and was a really great fight for Wood, who's now won, I don't know, 4 straight now. No, I think it's 3 because he lost it to Casey Kenny back in December of 2020. But he took a little bit of time off and came back in 2022 and has beat now Charles Rosa, Charles Jourdain, and now Andre Fili, all by unanimous decision. And he's somebody that, you know, you know, is 9 wins by knockout, 5 by submission, so 14 finishes, but just the last 3 have not come by finish. And he's somebody that's been around the game for a while. He looked good, pretty much all around. Even got a takedown in that fight as well. And I think he's deserving now with 3 straight of a shot at the rankings and a perfect spot at 15. Alex Caceres, somebody who is, I think, also very good. I think it'd be a perfect stylistic matchup for 2 guys that like to stand and throw hands. Caceres has a little bit of a weird kind of that karate technique with his kicks as well. But both guys that are veterans, and I think Wood's deserving of the ranked shot, and I think at 15 would be pretty perfect.
Didn't Caceres just fight an unranked guy? Like not so long. I forgot his name. But I don't know if they have him fight 2 unranked guys back to back.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But honestly, for someone like Caceres, unfortunately for him,
I know.
He's not somebody that, and I like him. I like his fighting style, but he's not somebody who's very notable. So they don't they don't really give those guys the really big jumps in terms of the ranking fights. But yeah, again, I think this matchup wouldn't be great in terms for Caceres because it's a dangerous fight. And he wouldn't be fighting against a ranked opponent, but somebody who, in Nathaniel Wood, he's right at the doorstep. If we're talking about a top 20, he's in the top 20. So, it wouldn't be that far off of a step down in competition. But I think if that fight were to happen, Caceres would definitely deserve a big, big jump after. Well, a good fight nonetheless.
Wood actually called out Edson Barboza, who's ranked 14 right now.
Barboza works too,
but Barboza just knocked out Billy Quarantillo, like badly. And so I don't know if they're going to give Barboza, another unranked opponent.
True.
We'll see.
True. That's the tough thing.
Want Barboza to get one more shot at it all, man. He's been so exciting at Barboza. He's never really in a boring fight.
Oh, Edison, no way.
You know what I'm saying?
No
so
way.
It's like he has get like 3 more fights in the rankings. He has a title shot, right? No, I'm kidding. I mean, that'd be nice. Though.
Listen.
He's 37.
He is, and he's as dangerous as ever with the striking, man. Like he's the only thing really questionable for him is that chin, that's been kind of rocked a couple times, but outside of that, he's a beast, and I would love to see him and Nathaniel Wood throw as well. So that's another good matchup that you pointed out there. But for Andre Fili, somebody who's now been in the organization, I just finding this out for now a decade. His first fight was at UFC 166. I mean, I know he's been around a long time.
He's not even that old,
but a decade. And that's a long time. It's more than 1990, boss man. So he's
he's 30.
Yeah.
So he's 33. I thought he was
young. So he's 33, and he's been in the UFC since he was 23 now.
Wow.
And it's been really a back and forth career for Andre Fili. He went 1-1 last year and now 0-1 this year after a fight. He was supposed to fight earlier against Lucas Almeida. That fight got canceled earlier in 2023, but was ended up getting against Nathaniel Wood and was unable to get the victory. But he's somebody who's really always in the mix. I feel like he's been around the top 15. I don't know if he's ever been ranked, but he's always been someone who's been in the mix. And is and is an exciting fighter. And I think that he's somebody that really shouldn't take too much of a drop off in competition because again, it was a close fight. I think he's right there. But give him somebody, and we talked about Lucas Almeida, somebody who beat Lucas Almeida, and Pat Sabatini. I think that would be a good matchup as well. Sabatini, somebody who's won 2 of his last 3 now. So I think that would be a good matchup at featherweight. 2 guys that know how to bring it. So I think that's a good fight for Andre Fili to get a chance for a bounce back right there.
This might sound extreme. You don't think they might cut him? Think about it, right? He's been in the organization for 10 years. He's never been ranked.
That's
and losing
true.
to another unranked opponent.
I don't know. I don't think that would be necessary. I feel like there's guys that are less deserving.
Yes, but how many fighters have been in the organization for that long that have never been ranked? That's the thing.
That's fair. And he might have been ranked. I feel like at this point in his career, if he's still here, I think he might have had a 14, 15 spot at one point at featherweight.
I know he fought Max Holloway.
Yeah, he fought Max Holloway. He's fought Bryce Mitchell. He's fought a couple of good guys. So he's not somebody who's a slouch. Michael Johnson as well. When you look at his resume, so and has victories over guys like Charles Jourdain. So Bill Algeo. So he's up there in the competition. He's not like he's kind of slacking off and and getting knocked out. So I think I hope Andre Fili's here to stay. I think he's a staple guy, and somebody that if he's on the prelims or even on the main card of a fight night or a main event, somebody I'm excited to watch fight. So for Andre Fili, I like a match with Pat Sabatini, but if the UFC decides to part ways with him, I guess to each of their own. We'll say that. But next, gotta talk about the meatball Molly, who got absolutely smashed, if you will, in a minute 55 against her opponent, Stolyarenko. I mean, it looks harder than it actually is, the pronunciation, but Stolyarenko looked great, and while that fight lasted, took her down quickly and was winning the exchanges on the feet as well. Really just an all-around performance until she was able to get her down and get her in the armbar to the, it was tough because it was in London, man. The London fans were out and they were great. And then you just heard the arena just,
dude, that's
silent.
that's two straight first round losses from the meatball. She lost via submission to Erin Blanchfield, who's a young up and coming stud.
Yeah, she's
herself.
Beast. She's a
but
beast.
Then how'd you pronounce her name? Stolyarenko.
Stolyarenko. I think Stolyarenko.
Okay. Yeah, and I think Meatball opened up as a relatively hefty favorite. I think prior to like the fight night, I think it dwindled a good bit.
Yeah.
And I don't actually, she might have even been the underdog at that point. But I know she opened up as a big favorite. I think a lot of it had to do with the environment and being in Britain or England rather.
Okay.
But she said she's actually going to cut down to 115. I don't know if that's going to make a drastic difference in her performances.
True. Yeah,
but I think we'll see, because she said she's been fighting girls who were just bigger than her, and
it does, because she's short, she's small. I don't know what her exact
5'4".
Yeah, she's only 5'4", so she's like not the biggest fighter in 115. I think
25,
that would probably and I feel like 125. A lot of those girls are bigger than that.
Probably taller than you and I, Joe.
Yeah. We don't got to talk about that. They can't tell how tall we are sitting down. We're 6'2" as far as I'm concerned. But but for the meatball, it's something that's unfortunate. But if she's cutting down to 115, I like that move for her. And for in terms of the future matchup, just give her anyone. She's somebody that she's now 6-5 in the UFC. I think she's proven that she's very much a middle of the pack style of fighter. She's not somebody who's fantastic. I saw your face.
Generous.
Might be generous. Well, I think in women's MMA, she's very much middle of the pack, and I think that I think that she's a character, and she's somebody that brings a lot of excitement to fights, and fans love her. Fans gravitate towards her. Clearly,
I'm not being a dick, but her fans. Where does that demographic lie? In England. I don't how many UFC fans are you like?
Bloody England. I'm a Meatball Molly fan. See, I got one right here.
All right,
one right here.
Maybe maybe there's more Meatball Molly fans than Patty Pimblett fans.
Yes, I'm not a Patty Pimblett fan now. Not a Patty Pimblett fan. No, I'm not talking. I don't want to talk. I'm not giving Patty any light of the day on this podcast until any fight news is announced.
Dude, I mean, apparently, he's had Favola called him out. Well, that being the opportunity at the rankings. Although I think Favola smokes him personally.
Yeah, me too.
And we're not saying this for Long Island natives. If you look at the matchup stylistically, I don't know.
He would get steamrolled.
Does he possess that one punch knockout power?
No.
Well, granted, it was a TKO against Drew Dauber, but that one punch that put him on his ass. Excuse me. Like that was. I don't think Pimblett possesses that. And then you look at his last performance against Jared Gordon, and I would say the vast majority of people thought Pimblett did not win that fight. I don't know if it's because they don't like him.
He didn't.
But no,
it
was not close.
Yeah. It was not that close.
But he was saying that like he won.
Clearly. Yeah. He was like, oh yeah, there was never a doubt. I was like, yeah, right.
And he said something stupid while he was interviewing. He's like, how much are you paying me to interview? Right? I'm like, you think Joe Rogan needs you to elevate his career?
Yeah.
Guy, get lost.
Oh my gosh, because that was a whole thing with Ariel Helwani, how they were asked Helwani to pay Patty Pimblett to be on his show, and he's like, I don't pay anybody to be on my show. I'm a journalist. I cover the sport, so. You're giving me the interview, and I'm giving you eyeballs to in a platform to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
And Helwani's one of the biggest names.
He's one of the biggest names in MMA journalism. He's probably, I would say outside of him and I'm blanking on the ESPN guy.
Not Brett Omakamo.
Yes, Brett. Yeah, Brett Omakamo. Yeah, I'm thinking about him. In terms of just straight, I think Helwani's bigger too, but Brett's pretty big as well. He's kind of ESPN's guy. In terms of just straight journalists. I know obviously you talk about podcasters and stuff, that's talk about Chael Sonnens of the world and stuff. But for actual just journalists, I think
Yeah,
Hawan
how
is one of the
long has Hawan
biggest,
been there?
and
10
that was a whole stupid situation.
Oh,
Yeah.
with Pimlet?
Yeah, with Pimlet. And so we're not talking anymore. No
Yeah,
more
we'll
Patty.
end that off real
No
quick.
more Patty talk. But
I had to
Jamali
mention it
McCann,
briefly because
yeah,
we talked about McCann.
of course. You got to talk about Patty and
But there, that conversation went, folks.
but
It's over with now.
yeah, it's done. It's no more Patty Pimlet talk on the MMA out. He's banned from the MMA on the
Until we
island
hear fight news.
until we hear fight news.
Which I don't
No more
see
Patty.
the
Yeah,
future.
because he's just gonna enjoy some cheeseburgers and Guinnesses and
He actually lost some weight though. I don't know if you did see it.
listen,
He
good
actually
for him.
looked
Good for him.
relatively
As a
slim.
professional fighter, I would hope that you stay in good shape.
Dude, he was
That
like 50
it
pounds.
doesn't make sense.
Whatever.
It doesn't make sense. But
Enough
what are you
of that
gonna do?
nonsense.
But for
On
Stolyarenko,
to the meat of the burger.
yeah, let's go to the main event. But before that, I'll very quickly, Stolyarenko, I think her and I'd like to see her against Antonina Shevchenko. I think that's a good fight there in the women's division. But overall, Meatball, I'm looking forward to see her return 10 pounds lighter and get back into the win column. Because I'm a Meatball Molly fan, although there might not be many in the USA. I am one of them. But let's talk Aspinall Tybura. And oh my goodness, Tommy Aspinall, welcome back. Welcome back, sir. You look absolutely fantastic. It only took him a minute 13.
It was insane.
Crazy.
Fun fact is Tybura didn't land a single shot. He went 0 for 14 on significant strikes.
Crazy.
Or strikes in general.
That's crazy. And I mean, Tommy Aspinall, and I saw a graphic now. He
has the shortest fight time, 5 fights. I think his is 219 and Pavlovich is like 223.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. So those two guys. I mean, I think it's inevitable. We talked about before the podcast and before we started filming that it's inevitable that those two end up getting matched up.
I hope it's a title
inevitable. And I think the stars are aligning for it to happen. Because you look, I mean, there's not really much to talk about from this fight itself because it was a one-sided affair. But the future of heavyweight's definitely something we got to get into.
The only way I don't see that fight happening is if Spivak beats Gane, right? Yeah. Spivak will take that number 2 ranking, and they might have, Pavlovich and Spivak because Aspinall already beat Spivak like a few fights. I'm pretty sure. I think he actually knocked him out in the first round and submitted him. So, yeah, and Cyril Gane being the former interim champ, if you beat a guy like Cyril Gane, the only guy to beat him are the past 2 champs, and one of them's not in the UFC anymore. So if Spivak can get that win over Cyril Gane, I think that'll inevitably set him up for a title shot. But just how exciting a matchup, right, between Aspinall and Pavlovich would be. I think even if, in that moment, Spivak would be more deserving, we all know that people who get title shots aren't exactly deserving of them. Might even be my boy, my little fighter crush, Colby Covington. He's not deserving of it, but he's getting the fight, right?
Yeah,
none of that.
He's getting the fight. He's getting the fight.
He is, but I think we all want to see Aspinall and Pavlovich, and a lot of people don't think that fight will make it outside the first round. But I don't know. I think that fight ironically would, because
it would be something. I would love to see the odds on that one. On what it'd
probably be almost dead even.
Yeah, it'd probably be less than a round. Over under half.
I do talking about like the overall.
Oh yeah, even though the overall, I think
Pavlovich would probably be slightly favored.
Yeah, I think Pavlovich would be slightly favored, but I think it'd be closer than to a coin flip personally. I think both those guys are really fantastic fighters.
I'm telling you, Aspinall is going to be a problem with that. I think he's gonna be the champ for a while, man. I think the people are going to think this sounds crazy because he just beat Marcin Tybura. And who's Marcin Tybura? Well, I mean, he was a number 10th ranked heavyweight in the world. And heavyweight isn't really a shallow division. Light heavyweight, that's a different story. But heavyweight in itself isn't really that shallow of a division.
No. I think there's a lot of skilled guys. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's just a testament to the fact that you're always seeing heavyweights headline fight nights, and so it's an exciting division. And
I meant to say real quick, I just came back.
Yeah,
I think he's going to beat Stipe's title defense record. Stipe had 3 consecutive, but 4 in total. I think he has a chance to do it because Jones isn't sticking around that long. Unless Pavlovich.
Listen. I high on Tommy Aspinall, as am I. I think he's a future champion. I think, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. But for me, he laid out his plans after the fight of what he would like. He says he wants the Gane Sergey winner. I personally can't. I don't know how I feel about giving him that shot. I don't know.
You
I
don't
don't
think
know
that
how
fight
I
makes
feel.
sense? It makes plenty of sense.
I think he should fight the loser personally. I don't know if because I think
It
the
would be
winner of
pointless.
that should fight for the title personally.
Gane does not deserve another title shot after a run
If he
against another
beats
ranked
Sergey,
guy.
I think he does.
No, he doesn't.
If
Dude.
he beats Sergey, I think he
Spivak is
does.
the number 8 ranked guy. That'd be his 3rd title shot. I think Gane, if after he beats, even if he knocks him out in like 10 seconds, don't care. I think he'd still need another win before he gets another shot at the title. Dude, he got submitted in a minute and 4 seconds.
Listen,
Like I know it's John
listen,
Jones, but dude was on a 3-year layoff. Give the other young and hungry fighters a chance.
Fair enough.
Gane, I think Gane would have a very exciting matchup with him and Aspinall in the future. Dude, they're both very good footwork, great on the feet.
Yeah.
You know, I think, and you got Jailton Almeida fighting Curtis Blades, who's the 4-9th ranked guy. If Almeida beats Blades, that could set him up for a title shot as well. So there are a whole lot of people I think are worthy of a title shot. When I say a whole lot, maybe like 3 or 4. But I still think there are 3 or 4 guys more deserving of a title shot, regardless of Gane's outcome. Come this fight in September, Joe. That's just me, man. I know.
I don't know. I don't know if I can agree with you on that one, but listen, we'll go on. We'll go.
Why
on.
do you think he's deserving? That I want to know.
Listen. We'll go into it right now. Listen, I think the reason he's deserving is very simple. I think if Cyril Gane beats the number 1 ranked heavyweight in the world, and Sergey Pavlovich, then I think
he's not. He's not fighting Pavlovich. He's fighting Spivak.
Is he right?
Yeah, that's why I'm. Of course.
Wait, is he not fighting Pavlovich? Am I getting my Sergey confused?
Spivak.
He's fighting Spivak next?
Yes.
When? Is this an wait,
September 2nd, the France card.
Is this?
I'm like, there's no way he's disagreeing.
Is this confirmed?
Yes.
Wow.
That's gonna be the co-main to the main to Nama Yunus and
where's the news?
Bro, look at this guy.
Bro,
we're confused with the Sergeys.
I'm confused. Yo, what are the odds there's 2 Sergey? Listen, I'm a silly goose.
Yes,
I take it back.
Well,
yes.
sorry, Derek Lewis.
Yes, I know, and that broke my heart. But I thought Sergey was one to fight Pavlovich next. I thought that
would have made sense. The 1 or 2 ranked guys. Yes.
That would
have made more sense.
We're on the same page. Then. We're on the same page.
We're on the same page. Yeah, I don't think Gane should get a title shot for being the number 8 ranked.
No, then I think Aspinall. Yeah, no, I think Aspinall next. I'd like to see him fight the winner of that fight or Pavlovich. I think either or would make sense for Tommy.
If Aspinall beats if Gane beats Spivak and Aspinall beats Gane, then 100% give him that title shot. Even if Gane beats both of them, Aspinall and Spivak, then maybe a title shot's warranted. But I don't know, man. We'll see.
We will see, absolutely. And
Pavlovich should definitely be next. There should be no more controversy on that. He should fight for the vacant belt, or after if Jones for some reason sticks around. I think that fight should happen, but we'll see.
Absolutely. I mean, and I would love to see. There's a lot of exciting matchups at heavyweight. And then for Tybura, I mean, we didn't even get to see him really. 0 for 14 on the strikes. Yeah, big old is right. And I'd like to see him against Reno Rosenstruck. Somebody's also coming off a loss. And I think it just makes sense in the heavyweight division. That's an exciting fight. Both guys have heavy hands, as most of those big boys do. So I think that wraps up UFC London. A little bit of confusion ended all off.
At least we came to an understanding.
But we came to an understanding and agreement. So I'm happy with the way that we're ending that off. But when we come back very shortly, you won't see anything. I gotta charge my computer because I'm an idiot and didn't put it on the charger. So when I get my computer charged, we'll talk fight headlines because there are so many to get to, which is why I think this episode is gonna go way longer than we've had before here. So don't miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and it is now time to talk about these fight announcements because there's so much stuff going on in the world of MMA. I got a whole list here that goes down more than one page, so let's just get into it. And you got to start with the most relevant and most recent. Very recently, we had, unfortunately, Umar Nurmagomedov. So excited to see him fight. Put his undefeated record on the line against Corey Sandhagen. No longer happening because Umar is, I think it was an undisclosed, right? I don't even know if it was an injury. Shoulder injury. Okay, so we got confirmation, but I remember when it was first announced, I don't think there was anything out about it. So that's the last time
Connor's lovely tweet.
I heard of it. What did he say?
It runs in the family.
Oh, runs in the family. What a freaking.
I love Connor. Man.
I love him.
He's so coked out of his head.
Awesome. He's incredible. He's an incredible personality. There will never be another Connor, but
never.
But Rob Font stepping in on 2 weeks' notice.
Well,
what a guy!
Really, he was still at fight camp because he was supposed to fight Yadong Song, and that fight got canceled because I think Yadong got hurt. So, it
works out.
It would have been 2 weeks prior because 292s, 2 weeks after that. So it's not like he wasn't already cutting weight.
And I mean, it's honestly, it works out perfectly, and it's a great matchup. And
how big of an opportunity is that if he Font somehow? I mean, we saw that knockout power he had. So
he's one of the best pure boxers in the UFC, and I think
Font.
and I think Sandhagen has a lot of tools because, Sandhagen may not be as good of a boxer as Rob Font is, just pure hands, but the kicks and knees and just his creativity in the octagon, I gives him that slight edge for me personally. But we'll preview that fight next week. But an exciting matchup nonetheless, and for us to lose that headliner, in Nashville, for Sandhagen, I think to get an opponent like Rob Font's quality, and obviously he was preparing. Maybe he doesn't have the gas tank he usually would for a 5-round main event, but I think it's still going to make for a great fight.
And I think if and you're right, because I think Font's ranked 7, and so I mean I don't think. I mean, so Sandhagen be fighting down in competition. He just fought Cheetah at the time was 5, and he, a lot of people thought, even though it was split decision, we all know that was bullcrap. A lot of people thought majority of people thought he won that 4 rounds to 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, really, you got to give Sandhagen credit because he was going to fight the 11th ranked guy, the guy nobody wanted to fight, and then unfortunately, he pulled out, whatever. But Font being ranked 7, if Sandhagen can win that fight, and I think in a relatively promising fashion, that'll be 3 straight wins against Yadong Song, who's the 8th ranked guy, or Song Yadong, whatever, something.
Mm-hmm.
Vera, and then would be Font. Like those are all top 8 guys, right?
Yeah.
And that would be a perfect setup because if Aljo, and I know you guys probably thought, this guy is too controversial, but it makes sense. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, right? If Aljo beats O'Malley, he's gonna vacate the belt. I think inevitably so.
Yeah.
Trying to
it's
set
confirmed. I think he's
I think it's already
confirmed it. Yeah.
He wants to go for both, right?
He wants to go up.
So if that belt gets vacated, Merab and Sandhagen, boom. That's a perfect vacant title fight. I'm not talking crazy.
I love it.
But if he loses to Font, that's going to set him back a little bit.
Yeah, and if he does lose to Font, that would be I
think be great for Font though.
I think a bump in the road. Yeah, Font would then jump into that scenario. Yeah, so ideally, I mean, I think showing him. I think those are really the 2 avenues. I think if Sandhagen is to win next weekend, you'd probably see him versus Merab. If Aljo wins, but then if
O'Malley wins,
if O'Malley wins, then I would say it has to be Merab. Yeah, because Merab's won. I think Merab's next. Whether anything that happens in the division in the next few weeks,
and I would actually like get kind of lose respect for Merab if Aljo wins the fight, which look at the odds, it's projected to happen. He's like a 3-1 favorite or something like that, and if he wins that fight and he doesn't vacate the belt, and Merab decides not to fight him and just give that chance up to Sandhagen, I'd be like, dude, you're wasting your career. You're 32 or 33 years old. You're not exactly out of your prime yet, and we see the cardio this guy has. Yeah, he put on a clinic against Peter Yan, dude. 50 takedown attempts. Mm-hmm. And I know he's your boyfriend, but you got to give it up, bro. You got to make business the priority at that point.
That's great.
Put the friendship to your side for 25 minutes, and then you can be friends after.
Listen, I understand. I understand both sides of the coin of why he wouldn't fight him, because again that's your brother. But at the end of the day, I do think that I don't think we're gonna have to cross that avenue. I think Aljo's pretty much done making that cut down. So I think he wants to go up to 45. Therefore, it's maybe perfect, leaving the throne open for Merab's taking against whether it's O'Malley and Aljo does lose. And Merab's getting his revenge, or if it's against someone like Sandhagen or Font or Cejudo, whatever. There's a lot of guys out there that in that division that are very much.
I think I just said briefly, Merab is a clear-cut contender because if he beats Aljo, why wouldn't anybody want to see him try and beat his best friend? I don't think it'd be pretty funny though if he beats Aljo but loses to Merab. I see that happening.
Yeah,
I do, but we'll see.
Listen, and that's we'll have to see.
Game, man.
It's the fight game, baby. It's the fight game. It's a beautiful thing. But speaking of Cejudo and that division, another exciting matchup. Cejudo unfortunately had to pull out, but Pedro Munoz is going to be his replacement at 292 against Chito Vera. That should make for another good fight. Honestly, I think this gives Chito a lot better chance to win. I don't know if he wins the fight against Cejudo. I think it would be close. I think Vera does have the size. Vera has the size. I think that's his advantage. But Cejudo, I think, is a better fighter.
But once Cejudo gets Once
Yeah.
Udo takes him down, dude,
It
he
would
would
have been
just ride him.
wraps. It would have been wraps.
Would've been.
I agree. So I think if he could have kept the fight standing, could have been potentially.
Yeah.
But
Not
for
right.
Pedro Munoz coming in now, that's a great matchup. I think those two guys, you know, I think stylistically makes a lot of sense, and that's gonna be another good one at 292. So we got two pullouts, you know, to start in terms of the news, but overall, you know, the not bad replacements nonetheless. I
No,
think
not at all.
both
Still
fights
good
will
fights.
still be equally,
Just
if
wish
not in
Song
Cheeto's
was
case,
fighting.
more exciting.
Just wish Song is my favorite bantamweight, man. I wish he was
Yeah.
fighting. Dude, he's such a good. I
Yeah.
love his style a lot, man. It pisses.
Song is great. Song is
He'll be the champ. I don't. He's 25 years old, and
he's got a lot of
he's
potential.
like 11-2 in the UFC. No, I'm sorry, not. He's 9-2 in the UFC, with his only losses being to Sandhagen. And I think the judges, one judge had it. No, two judges had it even prior to that. You know, the doctor stoppers going into the fifth. So he was
Yeah.
keeping up with one of the best guys in the division. I forgot who else he lost to, but I know he's 9-2 in the UFC. But continue.
Right,
Please.
of course. But no, you're good. You're good. You're good. But you know, I like Song Yadong as well. I think he's somebody I need to see him back sooner rather than later. Hopefully the injury
He'll fight again.
is not
before the
too
year
much.
ends.
Hopefully
Him
that's
versus Munoz would make sense actually. If he beats Vera, that would make a
I'm
lot
with
of
it.
sense.
Give him the winner. Give him the winner. I would be a-okay with that.
Yeah.
But more fight news. We'll run through the ones that aren't as significant. Thiago Moises versus Benet Saint Denis. I think I said that right. And then Lucas Almeida coming back against William Gomez. Another good fight there. And then a matchup I didn't expect at all, but a big step up in competition for Kevin Gastelum. I mean, he's somebody obviously fought the best of the best, but a dangerous fight for him going down in weight against Shavkat Rakhmonov. I know technically he does have nothing to lose, you know, 12-8 in UFC, and
It's not good, bro.
and you know, but he's, I mean, man, I mean, it's like a lamb for the slaughter. I don't know,
man, because
I don't know it. I don't know.
I know this fight was 5 years ago, but you saw how he did against Adesanya. I mean, he's lost like 7 out of his last 8, though. So prior to that fight, he was what, like 16-3 or something. So
yeah, he was a beast on his rise, but now fighting the 6th ranked welterweight, coming down in weight, so you know the chin's not going to be where
last
where
time he
it's
tried
usually.
going to welterweight against Tyron Woodley, he weighed like 9 pounds over.
Yeah,
so he has to take this seriously, man, because he's getting a huge opportunity.
Yeah,
if he beats Rakhmonov, he's what, the 6th ranked guy at welterweight.
Yeah,
you know,
hypothetically,
you don't get these opportunities often. So
yeah, he could potentially be a fight away from a title shot if he beats Rakhmonov. If he beats Rakhmonov, so I mean,
Rakhmonov called him out. Why? I don't know.
I don't know.
It makes no sense.
I don't know. That is actually interesting. I didn't know that Rakhmonov called him out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rakhmonov,
really different division.
He wasn't going to get the title shot anyway, because as much as I don't like him, Bilal deserves that title shot, no doubt, after Covington gets it. Even though I don't like him, you got to state the obvious, right? The guy's unbeaten in his 10 last fights, you know, including that no contest against Edwards, but he was getting pieced up in that fight. In case you guys haven't watched that fight.
Yeah, if you watch it only lasted a round, right? Or less than a round.
I think it was no contest in the second.
Oh, second.
I could be wrong. I'm not
sure. Oh yeah, I don't know. I know it lasted for a couple minutes, and I remember it was very clear who was winning. And it wasn't Bilal Muhammad. So I look forward to seeing you know, either Colby or Leon piece him up, because I don't think Bilal is at that. I know who he hopes it is. I think I know who he hopes it is. But
I like Edwards, you know.
Listen, I love Leon Edwards. I love Leon Edwards. Headshot dead. I love it. I love the really the career resurgence that he had after all the stuff that he went through, you know, being doubted and you know, waiting for so long for his title opportunity and then making the most of it, having his Rocky moment. I mean, it's really chills. He's one of those guys that really had like a movie moment. You know, his career has been something like movie-esque, you know, that really you can't really make that kind of stuff up, you know, of the where he's come from, and you know, and just the career that he's had and the moment he had, and then defending the belt now, and you know, against Covington, that's a tough matchup for him. I think he's gonna have to watch out for the wrestling. But
look how he did it. I mean, he did pretty good against the wrestling of Usman's wrestling.
Yeah, he did.
March.
He did.
But I think, you know, I'm not saying this. Covington brought up a point, a valid point, is that I think they both fought 2 different versions of Usman. You know, I think Usman, I'm not saying he's on the decline. You saw how dominant he was in last August against Edwards prior to that knockout. And then you saw how he was this past March. He lost via majority decision, but the only reason it was a majority decision, and one of the judges had a 47-47, was because Edwards was deducted a point. I think the third round. I don't know if it was a fence grab or an eye poke.
I think it was the fence grab.
Fence grab.
I think he grabbed the fence on the takedown, which was very significant.
So you take that away, it was going to end up being what 48-47 and 2 49-46s.
Yeah,
that's not really on paper a close fight.
No, no, not really. And I don't think anyone was debating on who won that fight, but nonetheless, it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one. It
needs to be officially booked.
It does, and that's one that's one that's not confirmed.
But there's a lot of
speculation for that at 295. We're gonna get to 295, but first we'll start 293 and something that's not confirmed, but it's in the water. So it was announced that Dricus du Plessis, obviously he was next for the title. Clearly, he's gonna be out for a little bit of time due to some surgery he has to get done, and so he wants to be 100% for that title bout, as he should be. But is he looking like his next opponent's going to be Sean Strickland? They have a little bit of Twitter beef back and forth starting it. Oh my, I mean, that press conference is going to be absolutely nuts. I don't usually watch the press conferences. I just wait for the highlights on Instagram, for being completely honest.
I'll watch that press conference.
Yeah, but I will watch that press conference from start to finish, because I know Sean's going to have some really outrageous things to say, and Izzy's corny ass is going to have something corny to say back, and people are going to flame him for it. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that press conference more than the actual fight, because I think we all know how it's going to go.
Just imagine
Hammer Izzy round 1 KO TKO.
No, I think he'll probably 49-46 him.
See, here's the thing. I feel like when Izzy gets to decisions, I feel like it's against guys that he kind of fears, like their power. I feel like for Cannonier,
fair enough.
For Vittori, I feel like they're guys that hold some potential dangerous threats. I mean, Vittori, you can't knock him out. He's got a head of steel. And then someone like Paulo Costa and what was another one? I mean, I love how we're just listing off Izzy title defenses.
No,
what's it? Oh, my guy, Yoel Romero. How did I forget about Big Yoel?
But he didn't even defend us. He did knock him out. Izzy,
yeah, exactly.
But
I'm talking about this decisions. Yeah,
but right, Izzy's a different fighter when he fights for the belt. He knocked out Brera, and then he obviously knocked out Whitaker when he won it the first time.
Yeah.
So those are 2 knockout wins to becoming champion. But then you look at his championship reign, I think he defended the belt 5 times against Whitaker. This is defense, is not actually getting the belt.
Yeah.
Against Whitaker, Costa, he knocked out Romero. Fuck, who am I missing? Why am I drawing a blank here?
I just said it.
Cannonier and Vittori.
Yep.
So there was only 1 knockout win out of those 5.
Yeah.
Right. And then he. So I don't know. But you brought up a good point.
I just don't think Sean Strickland. I just don't think Izzy's phased by anything that he brings to the table, and I don't think that. I just think there's levels above. There's levels and there's levels to the game, obviously. So I think that just outside's just on a whole other level. I just think that I think it's going to be a masterclass. I feel.
I don't know. I feel like
but again, if it goes to a boring decision, I could see that too, because that's how Izzy likes to fight conservatively, and and granted, you can't blame him too much. You're fighting to win. You're not fighting to to entertain. I mean, you are in some sense, but
he's in his own country.
At the end of the day,
he's going to argue it's not his home country because he's Chinese, Nigerian. No, I'm not going to get into all that.
The race bender. Did you see that? I love that. I saw something. It was like Israel the race bender Adesanya versus Sean. It was something like thuggish, and then it was like,
was it Deshaun Strickland?
Yeah, Deshaun Strickland. Yeah, and he had the bottle of Hennessy.
Awesome. I mean, listen, right? I know calling Dricus, a whole bunch of names. It's good for the build up of a fight, right? So like, I don't really care, but like, it's gonna build up the fight. But that fight is kind of stemmed off of like, not even personal hatred, but like, I feel like a lot of people are making it now like the white guy versus the black guy, and it's like. I don't know. I guess it sells a good story, but like,
yeah, I'm bored of that narrative as well for that story. Exactly. But I mean, I think the beef between him and du Plessis, I think is enough to make that lead up when it comes next. Obviously, it seems like it's going to be.
Finish him. I think he will finish if Deshaun doesn't win. Likely, he's not going to win.
Listen, we'll see, and obviously that fight now looking like it's going to be a 2024 thing. At this point, unfortunately, probably maybe the first pay-per-view, a January type of thing. Because this fight with the 293 is looking to be in September, right? Slated for September
2nd.
Absolutely.
No, not 2nd. 9th.
Yeah. So that fight's gonna be in early September. So it makes sense for DDP and him to get in there. And I think Izzy will have no problem against Sean Strickland. But that fight's not confirmed for 293. One that is confirmed, I think today, the return of Tai Tuivasa against Alexander Volkov. That's going to be an exciting fight. I think Tuivasa, because Volkov's chin, not the best, and Tuivasa can touch. If he touches you, you can go for an early bedtime. So I think that that Tuivasa has the edge there, but an exciting one at heavyweight, whether it's the co-main or whether they keep building that card up, I would be fine, content either way.
The co-main,
especially in Australia. So I think it just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and he knocked it down Cyril Gane. He's the only guy to ever knock down Cyril Gane.
Yeah.
But then, he had a quick turnaround against Sergey Pavlovich. That fight ended in 55 seconds, I believe. So
no bueno.
Very, very, no bueno at all. But, Volkov, he just finished Romanov in his last fight. Romanov was a hot prospect until he lost that controversial decision to Tybura. That gave him his first loss of his career. And then he looked like crap against Volkov, but his body changed completely. His physique, he just didn't look like he was in shape. But I mean, he did win his last fight against Blaggy Imavov. That might be a light heavyweight. I don't know, but he just won his last fight though, and Volkov. This would be big for him. I mean, he'd only jump up one spot in the ranking because I think Tybura, Tuivasa 6, Volkov 7.
You're right.
So it wouldn't make a huge difference. And even if
it was Romanov,
yeah, that's what I
he knocked out. Back in March, feels like such a long time ago now. We're sitting here at the end of July. What has happened in terms of time? But that's something for MMA and beyond, just life.
But even if he beats Tuivasa, there's still legitimately 2 or 3 guys who will fight for the bubble for him. So
yeah,
I still think he probably need one more fight.
Fair.
But we'll see, man.
Fair. But and then to the next numbered pay-per-view, 294. I mean, we got Tim Elliott versus Muhammad Makayev. Paulo Costa got rebooked against Kazma Shimanev. That's going to be a great fight. But the fight that has the MMA world buzzing, the rematch of Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira 2 in Abu Dhabi at UFC 294. And I got to point out something that I thought was crazy and really put into perspective the aura of Charles Oliveira now at this point in his UFC career. And we'll talk about the next fight. Obviously, you guys have heard it, the John Jones Stipe. That fight and the Charles fight were announced in very similar times. The UFC made a post about each one. The Charles Oliveira Islam Makhachev rematch has triple the amount of likes. Triple. 1.6 million likes.
Nobody wants to see Jones and Stipe. Stipe's 40 years old.
I mean, that's fair, but I think it's more a testament to how crazy of a star Charles Oliveira has become in the fight game. He is somebody that is adored by just the wider MMA community to the likes that I don't think I've seen really. I can't remember last time I've seen. I mean, obviously you think Conor, but outside of Conor, who's somebody that's really
nobody.
And it's crazy.
It'll be a shame if that fight ends similar to how it did because.
Yeah.
He knocked out Benny Dariush in the first round, which I guess warranted him a title shot because Gaethje and Poirier, they both fought for the belt twice, both lost twice. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's any clear cut. It would have been Dariush would have been in Oliveira's spot if all he had to do was beat him, and he didn't. Sorry, all he had to do was beat him, and he didn't. So, but like I said, man, it'd be really disappointing if Oliveira traps the bet again, even if it went to a decision. I'd be nah. I think this is a must win for him. This is definitely a must win. And I don't think he's gonna win. I think Islam is too strong for him. I know his performance against Volkanovski. A lot of people were like, it shouldn't have been as close as it was, which is true. But honestly, I think if Volk and Oliveira fought, that fight would be probably a lot closer than most people. I think Volk would win.
I agree. Dude,
Volk is the best featherweight, probably the second best of all time right now.
Because man, it's tough. I like to think Oliveira has a chance. I really do believe Oliveira does have a chance. I think anybody who steps to the octagon has a chance against anybody on any given night. But I think that at the same time, I do think it is a very tough stylistic matchup for him because Oliveira is somebody who has shown and proven that he has very good hands and striking that's improved vastly in his entire UFC career. But he's a lot of his submission stuff is off of his back and kind of in weird spots where those opportunities against Islam are not going to be the case. So it's his only opportunity
He's not
to
winning
win
by
this
decision.
fight. It has to be standing. I mean, I think he could win by decision, but if he can keep the fight standing, which again is easier said than done. We saw even in that fight with Volkanovski, Islam was able to get him in a couple of really tough spots.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm excited for it. I think it probably most likely will end in a finish. Either way. And it's going to be a really great headliner, huge pay-per-view. And the Costa Shimanev fight, I want to talk about that one for a second. Because I mean, it's about time that Kazma comes back against a guy like Paulo Costa. I think a really great matchup for him stylistically.
Oh, it is.
I think that but it's gonna be interesting to see, because Costa's a strong dude, and Shimanev obviously has shown like, really like unworldly strength in terms of like just picking people up and throwing them down. But he's moving up now, and it's
these guys are lost. He did that to Li Jingliang. I think Paulo Costa is probably a good bit stronger than Li Jingliang.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think he's gonna be able to just ragdoll people. And Costa the same way. And if Costa can come in with an actual gas tank for 3 rounds and fight like he fought leading up to that Izzy fight, on that title fight, I generally believe that Paulo Costa had a chance. He looked really, really good, but just never, just, and after that fight, kind of had a weird.
No, he went 1-2 in his last. He lost to Vettori at 205 because he couldn't make weight.
Yeah,
and then he lost. He beat Luke Rockhold, but Luke Rockhold was far removed from his prime at that point.
Luke Rockhold lost to Michael Perry.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Rockhold still had his moments, dude. He still had his moments. He still landed some big punches. Yeah. I think Costa took him down and he rolled him over, which just displayed how tired Costa was. And Chimaev, I don't really think has the best gas tank either. I mean, I was gonna say he kind of looked a little tired after that fight with Holland, but that fight lasted 2 minutes, and he was just so focused on submitting him, and he did. But that fight against Gilbert Burns, he started to wear off a little bit. But that was one of the best fights of the year.
Yeah, I think Khamzat has a good tank. I think that
better than Costa.
Yeah, better than Costa, and I think that he will, at the bare minimum, outlast him. But I do think that he'll probably find the finish.
It's not going to decision.
I don't think that fight's going to decision at all. But I think a tough fight for Khamzat, just because of the power that Costa possesses, and Costa can actually look like he did pre-Izzy. I think he has a great shot at pulling off the upset. Better than I think a lot of people are going to give him credit for, because I think a lot of people have seen his most recent performances, and that's really all they know Paulo Costa as. But he was killing people leading up to Izzy, just walking through people, and almost having like kind of that power that was like, where you're like, if he touches you, you're going to sleep. Like a Francis, where like if you can't get touched by Francis Ngannou, like it was that kind of same hype at middleweight for Paulo Costa until Izzy, shut him up. But either way, an exciting matchup at middleweight. Who wins? I lean Shimanev, but I think if we see Prime Costa, he could really give him a good shot. So a good, exciting start to the UFC 294 card. And for 295, we got Jon Jones Stipe. You said that not a lot of fans. You said a lot of people are interested. I'm interested. I think it's going to be a good fight.
If this fight happened, last year maybe,
even 2 years ago.
Even 2 years ago, fine. Yeah. Well, Jones 2 years ago for like an instant belt something, right? That fight would have been big. But now Stipe hasn't fought in. At that point, will be just shy of 3 years. The guy's 40 years old. He's probably not the same fighter as he was. 2-3 years. I don't brain for a second. Yeah. But I'm trying to think like before that fight against Francis, when he got obliterated in that fight. Who did he fight? I think he lost. Was he the champion? No, he was because he beat DC a third time. That's right.
Yeah.
Or the second time rather. But yeah, I don't know how to see. I don't know how I could picture him. Excuse me. Taking that big of a layoff, but Cejudo just did it, and he looked good. But Cejudo he's also 36 years old. He's at a lighter weight class. I think it's a little different,
Absolutely, and he's not going against the GOAT. Aljo's good, but he is nowhere near GOAT status. And Jon Jones is the perennial MMA GOAT. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. So I think it's gonna be a good fight. I like Jon Jones by finish at some point. I think that's kind of where most of fight fans are at with that fight, but nonetheless a good one at heavyweight, and one that was long overdue, and I'm excited to see it finally booked. So those are all the UFC bookings. I mean, we talked for a while about, and there were so many. The UFC really dropped some bombs, especially after that Francis Fury Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury news. They had to drop some good stuff, and they most certainly did.
Dana waits the right moment.
Good job, Dana. Good job. You got some good fights booked up, and I'm excited to watch your product firsthand. But a couple other MMA news, go quickly. Team Connor got his first tough win. It was a really funny. I don't know if you saw the clips from it. I didn't watch the episode because I'm done watching.
That you could see there's still
but
good
he
Connor
was running around. Yeah,
not good Connor, motivated Connor.
Motivated Connor. Yeah, and it was funny. Fans also pointed out how much he's lost, how much weight he lost from.
Dude, he looks like he could probably fight at 55 again.
Yeah,
I saw some pictures. I was like, it's probably how much heavier than 170.
Yeah, probably walking around at where we're walking around at this point.
He's like an inch taller.
And he's so he's looking like he's getting back into good shape. And you just saw, even just from the tough episodes 1 through 7, there was just 2 still frames, and he looked really buffed up and fat like this, and then the other one he looked like back to normal. And
people said it was based off of his shaved beard, but
no, you can see the fat. You can see the fat in his face right here because he was wearing when you wear a suit, you can tell like the face fat because like it's like puffs out,
presses your neck.
And if you see the picture, you'll understand what I'm talking about between the two. It's just this fat's gone, which obviously shows he's got a lot less weight on him. But Team Connor got the first win. I don't even know the guy's name. Shout out to you. Congratulations for representing the Prospects, because the Prospects were getting their asses handed to them. The Prospects now 1-6 on tough so far. That's rough.
No, I think they're 1-8.
Oh, they're 1-8 now.
1-7.
Oh, did they win another one? I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. I think they're 1 out of 8. So Chandler's
1 out of 8. Yeah, I think you're right on that.
How funny would it be if what's his face? If McGregor's only win ends up winning the whole thing. Like that guy rather wins the whole thing. It would be pretty funny.
That would be crazy, but it's looking more and more like Team Chandler's just gonna have to fight each other for who wants to get back into the UFC.
Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, nobody wants to see it. I mean, I haven't watched personally. I was planning on watching for this podcast to kind of cover and talk about it, but it's gotten to the point where it's just like, who cares, But gotta talk about a local guy, Long Island MMA's very own Chris Wade, stepping in on short notice. Not sure if you heard this news.
No.
Stepping up on short notice now. He is competing in the lightweight tournament. He's competing on August 4th for the PFL. In round 1 of potentially 2 for their $1 million tournament. He was right on the edge, outside looking in. But then an injury to, I don't have the name offhand exactly, maybe, and you have the name of who stepped out. But the Long Island Killer making his return to the octagon on short notice. And, I'm excited. I've been, obviously he's somebody that we've seen and trained with before. So, he's always in the gym regardless of whether, he had the fight coming up or not, but he's fighting an absolute killer. So, wishing him the best of luck, and I'm definitely going to be tuning in because, PFL playoffs are starting and it's an exciting time. In MMA, in the bigger MMA world with, PFL got their stuff going on too, and it's important to cover them as well. And Chris Wade, somebody who's, getting up there. I think it's a 10-year age gap between him and his opponent. What's his opponent name? Do you have it off the
Gabriel Alves Braga.
Yeah, Gabriel Braga. Gabriel Braga undefeated at 11-0, pretty sure. 11-0 as a mixed martial arts, and 25, and Chris Wade 35. So big age gap and a big opportunity for Chris Wade, but a tough opponent that he has to face in the Brazilian.
But that guy just fought as well. The guy just fought June 8th, and now he's fighting not even 2 months after. So it's,
I mean, the PFL likes to keep him active.
Which is good, man. You're 25 years old, you're in the best shape of your life. Like,
exactly.
I don't understand some of these guys fight once a year. It's just like,
and afford it, honestly, if you're not somebody who's making the top.
That's exactly. Top. You make what from one fight? Even if you're on like a pay-per-view and you're not like you make what, 50-60 grand, you have to have another job at that point.
The UFC, and that's a whole I had a conversation actually.
Marlon Moraes.
Yeah, he just knocked out Marlon Moraes, but I mean, Marlon Moraes has been on his way out for a while now.
He's lost like 5 or 6 in a row.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, Marlon Moraes is not the same fighter he was 5 years ago.
No, he just retired.
Yeah, but more news, not necessarily UFC related, but MMA related nonetheless. GSP, he was announced he was coming back at the Hall of Fame during International Fight Week a few weeks back in a grappling match, and his opponent was named, and it's Damian Maia, which is going to be exciting. It's official.
Okay.
It's official. That's going to be, I don't know the date. I forget the date. December 14th. So in December, that's exciting. GSP Maia, obviously it's not like a true fight, but it's a grappling match. Everyone wanted to see Khabib, but I don't think Khabib is going to be competing against anybody ever again, which is unfortunate. But, when you can go out at the top, you can't blame the guy. You know, it's his.
Some
At
people
the end of
don't
the day,
even.
it is his life.
I know. Some people
If you don't
might
want to
not
fight,
think he's the best lightweight of all time. I think.
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't know.
think
What are
any.
your
I
thoughts
don't think
about this?
anyone
Let's
would
go
be
for it.
able to beat him. So I think
I don't
they're
think Oliveira would have stood a chance.
no, I don't think so either. I mean, if Islam did what he did to him, I think Khabib's better than Islam. So I think it's very simple as that. MMA math already, eliminates that Charles Oliveira from that conversation. But you can talk about a few other guys as well, and
Yeah.
but I would agree that Khabib is the GOAT. But I mean, him GSP versus Maya should be exciting. Two guys that are, David Maya could very well win. I think GSP's probably at this point in better shape because GSP stays in amazing shape. I love
Yeah,
GSP.
he's
He's
like
one of my favorite.
175. He's young. He's
Yeah,
light rather.
yeah, he's light, and he's been. But I always see him, and he's always posting stuff about his training and morning routine. So he's somebody who keeps his body in incredible shape and just loves fitness. So
It's good.
just as well as the sport of MMA and BJJ, which is what we'll see him and Maya competing in on December 14th. So that's going to be exciting to see. But more news, and this is UFC related, and this is very interesting. So we'll break it down now. Is 4 Bellator fighters were listed on the UFC's website. Someone caught it about a week ago. It was Michael Venom Page, MVP, AJ McKee, and both of the Pitbull brothers were listed on the UFC's official website. If you just look up their names, they're there, and it just shows their their record. They don't have their face on it, so it's just like a blank picture. But could it mean that those guys are now eventually going to be announced that they're signed to the UFC?
Well, AJ McKee actually has a fight coming up. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
yeah. So, but what does that mean in terms of Bellator getting bought out? Because the speculation and the common speculation, from my understanding, is that people think that the PFL is on its way to buying out Bellator, but then in that it's also letting fighters choose whether they want to keep their contract or get let go.
Yeah.
So and they think that someone like MVP is a free agent for a fact, and he's somebody who was at the last fight night this week, so he's most likely come to the UFC, which is exciting.
He's old though. He's 36.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, nonetheless, I mean, someone like Michael Chandler comes in and has an exciting
Sure.
short reign. I'm always excited to see those guys, and then Pitbull as well is getting up there in age. But both the brothers are again, elite fighters. So it's
Absolutely
a little competition. But never hurt nobody. Especially guys that come from one organization to the other. We saw, Michael Chandler fought for the title. Who says MVP? I mean, obviously AJP has a fight coming up, but him down the line, if he's on the website, so he might be next. And the Pitbull brothers.
You remember what happened to AJ McKee last time he was in the UFC?
I don't.
Hamzat like destroyed him. So.
Really? Wait, he fought Hamzat?
Yeah.
Really? I did not know that. But either way,
folks.
Either way, now you know. I learn something new every day, and I learn something new right on the podcast. But either way, I'm excited to see these Bellator fighters in the UFC if it does happen. If it doesn't happen, and it's just I don't know, someone hacking the website or making just something out of nothing, then what are you gonna do? But it's news, so we'll talk about it. But now for topic number 3. And I think first question will be short and sweet, but far from unanimous. We're back with our debate segment, and we got 3 questions here per usual. One of them already was answered. I think both of us agree. First question of the day: will Tommy Aspinall ever be a UFC champion at heavyweight? I think we both agree that the yes.
That one.
Double thumbs up for the yes on that question. So not much of a debate. That one was unanimous. This one, maybe not. So this weekend, you got a fight in Jan Blachowicz versus Alice Pereira Potan. Dude, and obviously at this point now, the UFC would have made it already officially for the belt. But for the sake of the debate, should they have or should they have done it how they done it and kept the belt vacant for now?
I like that they didn't do it, man. I know that would have been Poetan's second straight title fight, right? Actually, that would have been his third straight title fight, excuse me. And he's not even ranked at that. He's not even ranked at light heavyweight. I mean, a lot of people know that this is his natural weight class, but Jan just fought for the belt. Even though it ended in a draw, that doesn't mean he's automatically warranted a second title shot, right? Mm-hmm. I think, if Poetan wins, he'll be the number 2 or 3 ranked light heavyweight. I think he should get a title shot at that point. I don't think anybody's disputing that, especially with Jamal Hill vacating his belt due to an Achilles injury, which is unfortunate because that's the second light heavyweight champion to fortunately vacate their own belt. That does suck. We don't know how long Hill's going to be out for. But before I go on about that, guys, I just want to apologize. I know this is week 9 of this. I go on tangents sometimes, and Just
Nah,
go on
bro.
little rants, man.
Nah,
It's hard.
bro.
It's hard to help.
That's part of
I'm a
that's
big
part.
fan of the sport. It's
That's
inevitable.
It's part of the podcast experience, bro.
I
Keep
know,
going.
you're
Keep
right.
going.
But no, but on a quicker note, I don't think that fight should be a title fight. What do you think?
Me personally,
It would be crazy.
I was
though.
hoping that they were. I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping that they were. And honestly, more than anything else, I don't think either guy's deserving.
No,
But
that's what I'm saying.
But when I'm looking at the state of light heavyweight right now, look, you got Jamal Hill, who is obviously out and he's not in the picture. When he's back, he will fight for the title, of course. He's gonna get his title shot back. Same with Yuri, who's not ready yet, but will be ready to fight the winner of this fight, right? Between Jan Blachowicz versus Asperger. I think the consensus is the winner of this fight is gonna get that title shot against Yuri. Because
Yuri's on. Yuri should fight for this belt. I mean, that's
yeah. So Yuri's. I think the consensus is Yuri's going to be getting the next title shot at this point against the winner of this fight. So for me, vacating the belt, why not make this fight have way more stakes? You got someone in Alex Pereira who's a fan favorite, and Jan Blachowicz, who's the third ranked fighter, just fought for the title to a draw. So there's really not anybody else who's deserving of a title shot, because you think Alex Pereira is not, worthy. And I agree. I don't think he's worthy at light heavyweight of a title shot, but there's certain circumstances. One is Yuri. Obviously, he's going to be next. Jamal Hill, the champion's out. Number two, Muhammad Ankalaev. He fought to the draw with Jan Blachowicz, so I don't think, is deserving of a title shot. So it doesn't really make sense to throw him in there right now. He probably needs one more fight before he gets back to that spot. And Jan Blachowicz obviously has a great opportunity with Alex Pereira, so he's probably going to get the title shot next, and he's fighting. And then you got number 4 is Rakic, Krylov, Johnny Walker, Anthony Smith. I just listed 1 through 7 there. None of those guys are deserving, truly, outside of Yuri. So I would have liked if it was
I wouldn't
a title
have
fight.
to it, but
yeah,
no, I don't think either of them deserve it.
I agree, but I think should the UFC have? If I was the UFC, why not? Because worst case,
the interim belt. No, there's no point in making.
No, because you make it for the vacant belt. If Jan wins the title, he was already a title holder, so he already it's not like he's a new champion. So he would he
won his belt off a vacancy. He beat Dom Reyes for the belt.
Yeah. So it was a former champion who would be getting his belt back and then would end up having to fight Yuri. And then if you're Alex Pereira, you give Alex Pereira a belt. He's already a megastar because of everything that has happened with Izzy, and he's older now, so he would have the belt, make him a 2-division champion. His popularity would skyrocket more than it is just for this fight being won. And then you have an easy fight with him and Yuri, and then potentially a winner against Izzy. So I mean, I would have liked it
if he loses.
I would have liked it to see it, and I again with I agree. If Jan might be hanging him up very soon. But if I was the UFC, I would have liked to see it for the belt. But I get that it's only on a few weeks' notice that the belt's available. And you would have a title fight be the co-main.
Then they should have switched that at that point.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do that because the marketing would be for the BMF belt. The fraudulent belt would be for the
That's such a waste.
So stupid, but we've already talked about that, so we won't shit on the BMF belt anymore. Beat that dead horse. I don't think anyone thinks it's makes any sense, but that it is what it is. I think either way, it's a number 1 contender fight against Yuri, who is also number 1 contender for number 1 contender. But nonetheless, not going to happen, obviously, unless some drastic things happen in the next few days. I don't think they will. So that's that. And then for the last question here, do we agree with the UFC's decision to reschedule Paulo Costa? Because I do. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think Paulo Costa, it wasn't injuries or anything like that. I think they just took him off the card.
They did. I mean, in Aliskerov got a fight too. It's not like he's not fighting a ranked guy. I mean, it's very rare that you see a guy after 1 win in the UFC fight a ranked opponent in the second fight. And he's fighting Nasruddin Imavov, who's, I think, currently the 12th or 13th ranked guy at middleweight. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Costa's a 7th ranked guy. If he would have beaten Costa, he probably at that point would have seriously been 1 fight away from a shot. But, Costa brought up a point. He's like, I'm not going to fight this no-name guy. But then you shouldn't have signed the contract in the first place. That, I think, is unfair to Aliskerov. But obviously, I don't think anybody's mad that he pulled out and he's fighting Khamzat, because that's the fight everybody truly wanted to see. Unfortunately, now 291 is going to suffer a little bit. They're not even to suffer because that card is stacked from top to bottom, dude.
I don't even think it's going to. I don't think it's going to miss it too much, honestly. But I see it's a slippery slope for me because I do agree with the decision because it ends up working out better in the long run for everybody. I think that the Askarov, he didn't really deserve that fight, so I think it makes sense. He's fighting the 12 guy now. That makes sense in Imavov. So, that works out. And then Costa versus Shimanev, I think that makes sense. Both guys kind of in similar spots. Granted that I don't think Shimanev is ranked in that division, is he?
No, he's just
He's
fourth.
not. Yeah, he's fourth at welterweight. So again, he's a top 5 guy in another division against a top 5 guy at middleweight. So that fight makes sense. So I agree with the decision? Yes. Do I think it's kind of an unfortunate circumstance for Askarov because he was going to get that opportunity, now gets a big step down in competition in terms of the rankings. I think it does suck for him. But do I think he should get some compensation for it? I think absolutely, because I don't even know if that fight now, the new fight, what card is it on? Was that announced?
Oh, it's on 294 as well.
Oh, it's on 294 as well? Okay, both are on 294.
I think it's gonna be just like the
hopefully it's on the pay-per-view so they can still get the points and everything like that. Because if it all works out right like that, I'm fine with it. But I think it's a little weird when that the UFC can just cancel fights, and I don't know if there's gonna be, I don't know if I would agree that they should have the power to just really just throw things, or all right, we're canceling this, do that, because they could really take advantage of some guys like Askarov who are getting a big separate opportunity. Oh, okay, now this big name guy can fight this big name guy, so we're gonna rebook that and have you fight somebody a lot worse. That you're taking advantage of your guy. So from that perspective, a lot worse though.
We're not basing off of prime cost, so we're basing off of
I'm talking about just rankings.
Oh,
because the opportunity and the name value. So I mean, because at the end of the day, regardless of how you slice, Askarov is gonna lose money, whether it's actually from the pay-per-view or just from the notoriety of it. Because just fighting Paulo is a big name in the sport. So between the publicity and stuff like that, he is gonna end up losing a little bit in the long run by this fight being canceled. So for that reason, they're taking advantage of the fighter a little bit. Little bit. That's minor. And so at the end, I do agree with UFC's decision. I think that it was a good decision to make for that specific circumstance. But I don't want to see them doing that for every single fighter, or make that a common theme, because I don't like seeing them kind of switch things around and cancel fights for a later better fight, just because they can. And this situation worked out perfectly. In other situations, I wouldn't necessarily agree.
Because at this point in Aliskarov's career, he's expendable. He has one fight in the UFC.
Yeah,
he's not.
No, you're right.
He doesn't have such a big name right now.
You're right.
He was getting a blessing to fight Costa, and I'm not saying but I don't really think he was deserving of it in the first place. So it's unfortunate, but again, with the way the fight switched up, and now Costa's fighting Chimaev, and he's still getting a ranked opponent, I don't think it's too big of a deal. But you're right. People shouldn't be playing. The UFC shouldn't just be playing with people's careers like that, or in their financial, because like you said, he's losing money off of that. So
yeah, absolutely,
it impacts his career and his wealthiness, I guess. But not I guess it does. But as fight fans, I'm sure none of us are opposed to it, or the majority of us.
As a fan, it's an absolute W. So I'm excited for it. But next, let's go to a very new segment on the show, and it's a little bit of a guessing game. I want to shout out Breadbasket on TikTok, Instagram. You can find them everywhere. They kind of made this very popular, this kind of guessing game that we're going to be playing next. But it's 10 questions, very, very similar to how they do it. So shout out to them. They do items. We're going to do MMA fighters for an MMA podcast. But a big shout out to Breadbasket, because, I hate when people steal ideas and don't give credit to the people that they, got inspired from. But I was inspired from Breadbasket to do this. I think it'd be fun. So very quick rule check. You got 10 questions to guess this fight, 10 yes or no questions. So they can only be, the answers we can give are only yes or no to the person. So 10 questions. I guess does count as a question. You can guess 10 guys if you really want to, but obviously that wouldn't make sense. And it's very simple. We got 2 random fighters, one for me, one for you. Could be active, could be retired. I know who I got. So I'm going to have my guy first, and I'm going to let you do the guessing first.
All right.
You got 10 questions, my friend. Let's start here. I got my guy.
There's no time or anything. I just go.
You get 10 questions, my man. So
all right, easy. I'm excited. Is he still in the UFC?
Yep. So you got to yes to question number 1.
All right. Well, that's good. Fuck. All right. Does he fight above 170?
No.
Well, I guess all right.
Good questions though. I think those are a good one too.
I can't just ask what weight class he's in, right? I have to figure that out.
No, it has to be yes or
Have to
no.
figure that out.
Has to be yes
Okay.
or no.
Was he ever a champion?
Mm. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
You're going to say so. That means he was an intro champion.
I cannot confirm. If you ask me that question, I could give you a yes or no answer, but I'm not gonna. I can't give you. All right.
Does he fight at 145?
No.
Fuck me.
So you have 4 questions now.
Oh, he's a lightweight. Is he a lightweight?
Is he a lightweight? Yes.
Okay. All right. I cool. Does he have a fight booked?
Yes.
Is he ranked top 5 in the lightweight division?
I can pretty confidently say no.
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 Fuck, I actually made it tough. He has a fight booked.
So we got 3 questions to go. You're at 7.
Damn, bro. Oh,
he's stressing. He's stressing. He's stressing.
obviously it's not Poirier or Gaethje. I was like, yo, he just gave it to me.
Nah.
Damn. All right.
Close.
I'll try to speed this up a little bit.
You're
You
good.
said he has a fight booked. You said is it Rafael dos Anjos?
Nope.
I mean, he was a champion at 170, so.
All right. 2 questions to go. No pressure.
There's all the pressure's on me. I can narrow
pressure.
it down. Is he ranked in the top 10?
Of lightweight?
Yes. I won't look. You can look.
No.
Fuck, he's not?
No, he's not. He's not currently.
I know the answer to this one. I think I definitely don't.
Last one.
Is the last one? Oh wait, so do I have to? I can ask a question and then guess, right? Or do I have to guess on the 10th question?
Technically,
guess.
you know what? You know what? I'll give it to you. You can get one more question, then you can guess on the 11th. What's your 10th question?
Okay.
Because it's the first one.
So you have to
We're
fight
experimenting here, so
I know. I have a feeling I know what this is.
yeah.
Has he fought either Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje?
Has he fought either of them? Yes.
Yes.
He's fought one or the other or both. Because it's a yes or no question.
Is it
so
Tony
yeah.
Ferguson?
He got it. He got it. Very nice.
Wait for that.
Very nice. Very nice. It is El Kukui. Outstanding work. I gave him 11. I gave him 11, but we count it nonetheless.
I'm not to say this. I was thinking it was Ferguson as soon as you said he wasn't ranked in the fight book. I was like,
yeah, he wasn't ranked on a fight book, but the interim champion thing gave it away. That was a
clear indicator.
Because I was like, because I don't count interim champions as champions, and I think for the sake of the game we won't. You know,
exactly.
We'll say that it won't, so that we'll make sure that answer is a no. Because again, there's very little there's little nuances that you could kind of get mixed up with or kind of is he champion, interim champion, is he maybe he fought at 55, 95 to 70. So there's a lot of little things.
Well, I think he's fighting Green at 55.
But he is fighting Green at 55. Yeah. So there's the little things in just this MMA in general that makes this a little more difficult. But if you got a guy in mind, I'm ready to go.
All right. I'm debating between one of you. All right. I got it. Go.
Okay. First question, is he currently fighting?
Yes.
Okay. So he's currently fighting. That's one. Does he weigh on the scale more than 170? I'll do 170. I think 170 is fine. Yes. Okay. So he's a big boy. So he's a bigger boy. Weigh on the scale 170. Is he currently ranked in his division?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So he's currently ranked in his division. Is he weigh 205 or more on the scale? He does. Okay. So he's ranked in either light heavyweight or heavyweight. And I'm gonna close all tabs because we're not no you're only allowed to fact check just for another clarification. You're only allowed to fact check the opponent. No, you can fact check me.
No, I know.
Or in terms of like, if you don't know the answer to a question, you can Google it. But
I'll know this.
I can't use any Google for the sake of
You got
this.
6 more questions.
All right, so I have 6 more questions. He is a ranked guy at 205 or heavyweight. Has he fought in the last 3 months?
No.
Okay, so he hasn't fought in a while, but he's ranked.
So halfway there.
I feel like I gotta get this out of the way, but these.
You have a lot of.
I know.
I've narrowed it. You've narrowed.
Yes. Is he in the top 8 of said weight class?
No.
Not in top 8. So he's a 9 through 15 guy of light heavyweight.
4 more questions.
Or heavyweight. So I'm pretty much down to 14 guys if I can remember. 4 questions to go. I think I gotta narrow it down to 7. Does he have to cut weight at all? Is he a heavyweight or light heavyweight? Or I can't ask that question. Okay. Is he light heavyweight?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got 7 more questions. Oh no.
I got 3 more questions. Is he light heavyweight? So he's 8 through 15.
Fuck, now if you don't get this, I'm gonna be
I have a guy in mind, but I feel like it's too specific of a question. So I'm thinking light heavyweight now.
You get 3 questions in the guess.
No, I don't think Anthony Smith. I think Anthony Smith's 7, so it's not him. So he hasn't fought for a title. I don't think. Damn, 7 guys. I'm trying to think of a question that's gonna narrow it down. Man, light heavyweight at the bottom of the rankings.
I'm telling you, man, you're over. Yeah,
bro,
I'm gonna shut up.
I know. Yeah, I know it's gonna be somebody that I know. So if I don't get it, I'm gonna be upset. Okay, 3 more. I'm just blanking right now. I'm blanking on the light. I know, bro. I know. Like I know. I'm just trying to think, bro, because I just listed the top 7, and now I'm like, okay, but who's beyond the top 7? In light heavyweight, let's think. I'm just gonna go with a question, another rankings question. Just so I can just knock it off, and then just man, but I need information on this guy. All right, this will be going. Is he an American fighter? Does he fight out of a state in America? Okay, so he's an American fighter.
So 2 more questions.
So 2 more questions. He's an American fighter in the 8 through 15 or 9 through 15, I think, of the light heavyweight division. It's an American. It's not Anthony Smith because he's 7. Who is at the bottom of the light heavyweight division? I'd like to just use 2 guesses here. Oh, it's American light heavyweight, 205. Man, I'm really blanking. You thought you were taking your time. I am like really just struggling right now.
It shouldn't have taken me 10 guesses.
Nah, bro. I'm struggling right now because it's I know it's somebody I know, man. Oh, it's a light heavyweight. That's an American. That's 8. Man. So you can't look at the rankings. That's cheating. Man.
Yeah, you would get it in 2 seconds.
Yo, Pod, I'm struggling right now. We're gonna have to get a time. You know what? For the next episode,
we gotta make it like 2 minutes.
For the next episode, yeah, we'll
2 minutes.
What we'll do is each question has to be within 30 seconds of each other. We'll make that so that you have to. We have a shot.
That's
clock.
Up to 5 minutes. It's 300
seconds.
That's a lot of time.
Listen, I think or maybe we'll do it like 15 seconds each one because I'm struggling.
I'm telling you, it's so easy.
I know. I'm drawing a fucking blank, bro. I'm literally drawing a fucking blank.
It's 2 questions.
2 questions. 2 questions left. Okay. Has this fighter ever been in the top 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, the answer is right there. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
You have 1 more question. If you don't get it, I'm gonna bug.
I'm gonna use it.
Bro, who else? Yeah.
Dude, I know.
I'm gonna laugh if you don't get it. I'm hoping you don't, so I can be 1-0 on the segment.
Yeah, bro, you're gonna be 1-0 on me. I can't let this happen.
Yeah, 1 question in the guess, but next time we should just make it guess at the 10th question.
Yeah, you're right. I got 1 more question and a guess.
So easy.
I guess since I have the one more question, I'm just gonna ask it. Has he ever fought for the title?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. I'm actually getting tight.
Oh my
You should have
gosh.
asked that like 5
Oh
questions
my
ago.
gosh. Yes. Oh wait. Hold up. I might have it. Is it Dominic Reyes?
Yes.
Yes, I got it. Let's go,
You
baby.
should have got that.
Let's go.
You should have
Let's
got
go, Pod. We're here.
You got
We're
it.
here. Thank God. Oh my gosh, bro. That was so
I was
obvious,
like,
bro.
he's gonna
That
fumble
was
this,
so
bro.
obvious, bro. Oh
That
my
should have taken
goodness.
you a lot quicker.
No, dude, that took way too long. That took way too long. Man, yo, great first segment though.
Absolutely, brother.
Both,
Actually, like, yo, I enjoyed this.
Both of us are 1-0, undefeated so far on the pod for that guessing game.
But we're gonna make it a little harder next time. With the time constraint
yeah. Absolutely. But that was our guinea pig trial run, and I had a lot of fun.
So did I, man. That was good.
So absolutely. So 1-0, both of us on the guessing game. So that went very well. Very happy with how that turned out, especially because of the fact that we're both 1-0. We both didn't lose, but we'll have a little bit of a
It came
timer
close.
next
It came
time.
down to the wire for both
Dude,
of us.
came down to the last question for both of us. I'm looking forward. I'm gonna cut that out and put that on
Absolutely
on some socials for sure. 'Cause that was a lot of fun. But now for our last segment of the show, and it's this one we thought it was gonna be a while. We promised you it, and it is delivered because I feel like we've gone on. We don't know how long exactly because we've changed our recording, and we have some dead space as well. But overall, it's looking like it's going to be pushing 2 hours from my just knowledge of time and when we started filming and in between our breaks and such. But nonetheless, let's go through 291 and give you our preview and picks. And I really want to start with the only fight I really want to talk about on the prelims is my guy Derek Lewis, man, in the prelims now. The fact that he's now relegated to a prelim fighter breaks my heart.
He was fighting for an interim belt.
I know. And
yeah.
It's so sad, bro. Because Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, he's one of my favorites of all time. I mean, he's somebody who I adore in the sport of MMA, but it's been a really tough stretch for him, and he finds himself against a fellow 38-year-old.
38, Marcos.
Marcos Rodrigo de Lima, and somebody that he should have a good chance at beating. I mean, obviously we're talking about a Derek Lewis now who's on a 3 fight losing streak. I thought it was 4. I forgot that he beat Chris Daukaus after his loss to Cyril Gane, because it feels like he hasn't won in forever, and it has been forever because you have to go back to 2021 to find that fight against Chris Daukaus back in December of 21. So a long time for Derek Lewis against Marcos Rodrigo de Lima, who's on a little bit of a win streak of his own. I think it's 3 for him, but I still like the Black Beast in this matchup. I think that he still has more in the tank than people are going to give him credit for, just because his hands, he possesses so much power. I think he's going to catch him. I like Derek Lewis by finish. I'm not sure what the odds are saying. Actually, I actually don't know.
He's open. He's minus 180 now.
Minus 180 for Rogerio, and I think that has a lot to do with the ground game of Rogerio. But I think that when you look at Derek Lewis, man, I mean, his hands it's not something that you can sleep on whatsoever. He's not a guy that you're gonna want to take lightly, and he has that puncher's chance as he always does. But for Derek Lewis at a plus 155 favorite, I would sprinkle on it, despite the fact that the Brazilian has a great ground game. I think that Derek Lewis, he could keep the fight standing, could put anybody's lights out, and that's going to be on ABC. So that's going to be exciting. It's going to be
the prelims are on ABC.
Prelims are on ABC, so they're really promoting this card, and as they should, because the card's kicking off in a big way in a fight that I feel is a true coin flip between the return of Michael Chiesa and Kevin Holland. Chiesa, I said it wrong. Chiesa versus Kevin Holland. I don't even know who I lean on that fight. That one's just going to be absolute fireworks.
Wait, so you picked Lewis for the first fight?
I like Derek. It's the pure fan in me. I'm not telling you to bet on him. I have my best bet. I'm not telling you to bet on him, but
I think he's gonna win and retire.
I hope so. That is my dream,
because he's not getting a heavyweight fight unless he wins like 5 in a row. And I don't think he has a longevity at this point.
No, I think he understands that his career is coming to an end, and I think this would be a great way to finish it. I mean, maybe if he wins this fight, maybe one more, maybe he gets a main event against somebody who's not that great, and maybe he can get a finish to end his career. But for Derek Lewis, if he retires this weekend, I'm very happy for him. And I think it's at this point in his career, he should only have 1 or 2 fights left.
Yeah, I
No
got
more
I
than
got
that.
Derek Lewis by like first or second round knockout.
First, second, or not. I think that's his only path to victory. So I can see it. Absolutely. But next, Kevin Holland versus Michael Chiesa. Man, that's gonna be an exciting fight. And I mean, I lean Kevin Holland. The
I don't know
odds.
why the odds are so close,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
really? You think Kevin Holland should be a
Chiesa's
bigger
fought in
favorite?
over two. What was the last fight? 2021 against
Listen,
Luke.
Chiesa's good though.
You know how many knockouts he has in the UFC?
Is it 0?
It is 0.
Yeah,
But he does have 11 submissions. So before you guys come at me,
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, he finishes fights though. I'm like, I know he has plenty of submissions.
But I think
to his name.
Holland has 14 knockouts, and he has a few submission wins himself. So his fights don't usually go to decision that well.
That
yeah,
is
6 wins by submission. So he has total 20 finishes. He has more finishes than Chiesa has fights.
wow.
No, and Kevin Holland
stays active, bro.
He does, even though he lost to Wonder Boy and to Chimaev. You know, that Chimaev fight was so weird, man, because that fight was literally on a day notice.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, I
don't want to scratch that off because it's a loss. And then, I mean,
I kind of scratch it off when I think of the career of Kevin Holland. I don't think that fight really counts in any way negatively or positively.
Especially because Chimaev probably is fighting at 70 again, so he probably doesn't have to worry about him.
Yeah, so it's not somebody, and it was,
and Wonder Boy's retiring. Even I think in 1 or 2 fights, because I don't think I think he's accepting that he's not fighting for a belt again.
Right.
If he wouldn't be fighting number 15th ranked.
That's what I'm saying. If he's fighting Michelle Pereira, he's kind of I think and you look at this card, honestly, we'll go fight by fight, but I mean, you're looking at potentially 3 guys who could retire in Derek Lewis, Tony Ferguson, and Wonder Boy, who all, kind of.
I think you're missing somebody.
And Jan Blachowicz. So they got 4.
Oh, then I'm thinking 5. You know who I think else could
5.
retire?
Who?
Justin Gaethje.
Wow.
He said it after
we'll go into it next. We'll go into it next. We'll get there when we get there, but I can't believe really Justin Gaethje.
I'll explain
wow. Explain when we get there, because I want you to save that, because I'm really interested to hear it. But who do you got? Kevin Holland in that fight? I got Kevin Holland as well. I think it's closer than you think.
Finish that fight.
You think it's getting finished? So Kevin Holland by
Second
finish.
Round TKO, folks.
Probably good odds on that if you want to get a finish on Kevin Holland. I think that got to be your best bet of this fight card for sure, because that's a bold one. I think you get that at some pretty significant plus money there.
Yeah.
At least plus 200 for a Kevin Holland by finish.
So if I like that specific round, I definitely be higher than that.
If you want to go specific round, you could really get bold. You go round 2, round 3. I like
round 2.
Yeah, I would like that. I think they make it out of round 1, but I think round 2, if Kevin Holland's gonna get the finish, it's gonna be in one of those 2 rounds, the last 2. So if you want to sprinkle a little KO action on one of those 2, I think that would be that might hit. That might hit. But I like Kevin Holland. I like him at -145 as well. I think those are good odds for him, good value. But a fight that I think the odds makers, and I saw something about it.
Tough round. It's like the cliff.
Yeah, I saw something about it, and I'm surprised. Bobby Green against Tony Ferguson. Bobby Green, a -375 favorite. I understand the point of Tony Ferguson's career that he's at right now at 39. He hasn't looked great, but are we really gonna say that Bobby Green is -375 favorite?
No, I think he should be the favorite. But
when Tony Ferguson has a 5-inch reach advantage on him. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Tony Ferguson, I understand he's looked really bad since 2020. And that fight honestly broke my heart when I just had to watch him get battered by Justin Gaethje during quarantine. I was so excited for MMA to come back and just sports to come back in general. And then to watch, the guy that I was pulling for in Tony Ferguson to just get destroyed was tough to watch. And obviously last time we saw him was against Nate Diaz in a fight where I think he won around there too. In that it was a close fight. It wasn't really like it was a weird fight, obviously, just because Nate didn't really care about it. So he was just kind of, there was one point just ran back and just was walking away from him. It was a little ridiculous, but nonetheless, a fight in which Tony Ferguson lost, making his win streak pretty significant now. I think it's at 5.
I mean, losing streak?
Oh, yeah, losing streak.
I remember the last time Ferguson was on a win streak, folks.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But now we're at 3, 4, 5, and 5 straight fights. Tony Ferguson has been
it was what
the one
Diaz,
that was defeated.
Chandler. Oh, let me see if I can get this in correct order without looking. It was Diaz, Chandler.
Yeah.
Was Oliveira the next guy?
Oliveira was not this guy, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think you're
No,
right.
because it was somebody.
Oh, it was
who
Benny
he just
Dariush.
fought. Yeah,
It was
Benny
Benny
Dariush,
Dariush.
and then Justin Gaethje. Yeah, so that's and then
Oh,
go
there
back to
he is,
2019 to his last win against Cowboy Cerrone,
Jeez, that was
which
his last
is a
win.
long time ago. But man, looking at this fight, man, give me Tony Ferguson at plus 285. I'm putting it on. I'm putting it on the best bets. I wasn't on the original card. I'm putting it on there. Give me Tony Ferguson plus 285 against Bobby Green. Bobby Green is a good fighter, man. He got good hands. He's a tough dude, but for those odds, I don't like it.
No,
I think
I'm not
I think they're a little ridiculous. I think Tony Ferguson deserves more respect than that. I think that he's going to go out, put in a good performance. I think that honestly the best avenue of victory for him would probably be a decision. I don't know if Tony Ferguson's capable of putting away Bobby Green, but I think he could scratch and claw his way to a decision. Even incorporate a little bit of wrestling in there against Bobby Green, somebody who is not really a wrestler and doesn't really have I don't think any real defense that he's shown in terms of his wrestling that would really make me like worried that Tony Ferguson couldn't get him down and control him and threaten a finish from there. So I like Tony Ferguson in that fight. I think it's going to be an exciting one nonetheless because both guys are entertainers in the octagon. And that's why I'm really excited for this card because I feel like every single fight is just entertainment.
It is.
And, you look at the next one now, you got Wonder Boy and Michelle Pereira.
Real quick, I'm going to take Bobby Green.
Yeah, you're taking Bobby Green?
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Give me Tony Ferguson all day, baby. I'm confident. But Wonder Boy Michelle Pereira, 7 versus 15. Wonder Boy feels like a little bit of a step down in competition.
A little bit.
Just a little against Michelle Pereira. And I mean, if this is the Wonder Boy that we've seen, not against Bilal Muhammad, where he just got his crotch sniffed for 3 rounds, but wow.
He was good against Holland though last December.
That's what I'm saying. If we can see the Wonder Boy that we saw last December against Holland, I think that he kind of cruises to a victory against Michelle Pereira. I would probably take him by decision in that one.
I like that.
I think that's so I'll just go through my best bets as we go through the fight card. Obviously I just threw Tony Ferguson in there. And my first one is going to be that Thompson Pereira fight to end via decision. Just overall in general, that either fighter win, but by decision. I like Wonder Boy to win. So if you want to go risky, Wonder Boy by decision. But my official pick so far, Tony Ferguson to just win outright, and then that fight to end via decision. But I like Thompson. What about you?
I like Thompson. No, I agree with what you said. Thompson by decision. I like that.
Yeah, and then
he's gonna, I think, hang up the gloves at that point.
Yeah, he's
only fighting once a year too.
Yeah, I love Wonder Boy, but it's time. 40 years old. I think it's
and a title shot is not in his foreseeable future. Despite being ranked 7, he'll fight next year again.
Yeah,
41 years old.
He's been taking quite a while between fights. If a title was something he was really, I think, shooting for, I think it would have been a lot more active and we'd be fighting a lot better competition. But at this point in his career, I don't think that. I think he realizes after the Bilal Muhammad fight that if he can get dominated like that by someone who's not a true wrestler, like somebody who doesn't have that pedigree and isn't like you wouldn't say Bilal Muhammad is a elite wrestler, and I mean he's a very good wrestler. But
I think Bilal's good at everything. Yeah, I mean his striking's a little iffy, even though he had that TKO against Brady. Yeah, I think he's good at everything, but not great at one thing.
Exactly,
getting decision wins.
Exactly, yes, of course, he's the king of the UD. But either way, I think he realized, all right, I brought a good wrestler and I got dominated. I don't think I'm going to be able to hang with those top of the elite guys at welterweight.
Fortunately.
So I love Wonder Boy. I think he could have very well been champion. He fought in those 2 wars against Tyron Woodley. But
one of them was a draw, right?
Yeah, absolutely, it was. So it's
split decision. So
he was elite in his time. But obviously at 40 years old against Michelle Pereira, who's dangerous. So don't count out Michelle Pereira. But nonetheless, I like Wonder Boy to kind of point fight him and get that decision victory. I think Michelle Pereira has a lot of tools. He could get the finish. I think if Pereira does win and you like Pereira, I would get it by finish. But I can't see it happening personally if Wonder Boy fights the way he fought against Holland. Yeah. But next up, light heavyweight bout, the number 2 ranked middleweight and the number 3 ranked light heavyweight in Alex Pereira Poatan versus Jan Blachowicz. Man, I'm back and forth on this one. I can't give you a definitive answer of who I
Okay,
like in this fight. Who do you like?
Give me Pereira by knockout.
Wow. Pereira by knockout. What round? You got a round or just fight in general?
I'm gonna get shit on for this, and I'll probably regret it. I'm not betting on this. Give me round one.
Round one.
Give me round one.
I like it. I like it. I don't
If
mind.
Jan doesn't take him to the ground, that fight's not gonna last long on the feet.
I I I don't hate it. I don't
And
hate
as
it.
you get that, dude, 40 years old, how good is your chin at 40 years old?
Dude, I mean, yeah, I mean,
I mean, we
especially
saw Glover's chin against Hill,
yeah.
and he didn't get knocked down once.
I
So
don't know. I think Jan's chin's not bad still, and I think that a big X factor in this in the stand-up game, I think, is the leg kicks for Jan Blachowicz. We saw how he absolutely destroyed Ankalaev's legs in that last fight that we last saw him in that draw. So I mean it's close, man. I think it's closer than a lot of people think. I think and the odds makers I think know that because right now Jan Blachowicz, it's a pick 'em, but Jan Blachowicz is technically favored at -120 because Potan is at -110. So technically it's a pick 'em fight. And I think a lot of people are gonna be on Pereira, but if Blachowicz can use those leg kicks and take down, because I think if he can take down Alex Pereira, I don't think Pereira gets up. I don't
that's
think I don't think he can get up.
It's risky.
That's why I'm so conflicted because I feel like you say round one knockout for Potan and you think if it's just a kickboxing match, agree, but it's not. We got leg kicks involved, and you got to think about the fact that you got this takedown. And Jan Blachowicz, I think has a good chin. I think he has power. You don't sleep on the Polish power. I might have just talked myself into betting on Jan Blachowicz. I think
did. Now you got.
I think I got to back my guy now since I'm hyping him up. Give me Jan in that fight. Not an official bet for a pick, but a pick nonetheless. I think that he surprised a lot of people. As much as I'd love to see Potan do it, because I think him winning makes for a lot more better. Jeez, I got to go back to freaking elementary school to learn English again. But I think it makes for better storylines in terms of the potential matchup with Yuri, a guy who's very much a striker, and he has, great kicks and, two guys that it's just going to be a standing and trading battle. So I think that would make for a more exciting fight, at light heavyweight. But I think Jan Blachowicz, I like
Jan would be automatically warranted a title shot with the win against Pereira. The guy was not even ranked in light heavyweight.
I don't know. I mean, I think it depends, but I think this is the consensus number one title bout. I think most MMA fans have agreed. I mean,
that's true. Because
outside of that, like I listed earlier, only Ankalaev is the only guy who's even close to being deserving, and Jan Blachowicz would have had a win since then against a guy who is a former champion at another weight class, granted, but he's fighting at his natural weight now.
He'd be the first guy to beat. No, I don't think the first guy to beat, but he would have beaten both Izzy and Pereira. And it's funny because Izzy's only lost to Jan and Pereira. That'd be pretty funny.
It is. It's the bout of who Izzy, who owns Izzy more, Jan or Alex Pereira. But I think Alex Pereira will forever live in Izzy's head rent free, significantly more. Regardless,
imagine a light heavyweight fight between the two. I think that
would be crazy.
Like, see, that's by the end of next year. Man.
That's like the dream of all dreams in terms of but a lot of circumstances have to occur, and it's
really not. And I mean, this would be.
I mean, we're talking about like 5 or 6 fights because
let's have to win 2 fights each.
Oh, okay.
Izzy beats Strickland.
Izzy beats Duplessis.
Okay, so that both fights could happen within the first half of next year. All Pereira has to do, he beats Blachowicz. I'm pretty sure
he would get a title bout.
Yuri will be in shape by the first half of next year. So he beats Yuri, and then they both fight end of 24.
Okay, so it's four fight outcomes that have to go that way. I get it. Listen.
And one of them is this weekend. So if we get that, 25% already there.
Yeah. So, you're right.
You're right. It's not extremely impossible.
It's not extremely impossible, but I think 4 fights to go that exact way.
Well,
especially in fights, Izzy's side's pretty easy, I think. I mean, Duplessis,
people are ruling him out, man, and I'm one who I have to swallow my words because the way he dominated the Reaper. Okay, he won 10-9 in the first round, but the way he came back to finish that first round, the way he just put it on him in the second. If his gas tank's as good as he's saying, man, I think he could beat Izzy.
No, I don't know. I think he has the tools to, especially in the wrestling department.
Like you're right.
But I think the Strickland fight's kind of a book. So I mean, I guess there's 3 fights that are kind of pick 'em that you'd have to go the right way. So I guess
would be huge.
The buildup would be tremendous. Both guys would be going up, cutting less weight, so that would be a big storyline in that. and obviously you got all of the beef surrounding the two. So I'm rooting for Poton, but I like Jan Blachowicz. That's my official
probably a
pick.
safer pick.
And probably, in a division that doesn't have a lot going on, I think that this fight's really going to rejuvenate it. This fight and the potential title fight against with Yuri, either guy, I think, will really bring some fireworks to light heavyweight and bring some excitement back to a division that's kind of been lost without John Jones. But to the BMF title bout now. Whoop-de-doo, BMF belt. But let's talk about let's talk about the fight though, because I'm really excited. For Gaethje against Dustin Poirier. And Aiden, you may call me crazy. The odds makers have Dustin Poirier as the favorite. I like Justin Gaethje in this fight.
Oh, so do I.
I do. I like Justin Gaethje in this fight.
Like
Listen, I just think that first matchup was a fantastic fight, and Dustin Poirier did what he needed to do to get the win. But I don't know. It's
5 years ago, dude.
It's a long time since then. And I think Justin Gaethje has really looked just flawless in his last, outside of that loss to Oliveira, that decision. And if he hasn't seen Justin Gaethje, he doesn't fight very much. I mean, granted, he makes a lot of money at this point, but he doesn't fight much. Thinking back,
he's only had 11 fights in the UFC.
Yeah.
And when did he get into the UFC? 2017 or 18?
Yeah. 2017, and this is going to be the first time that he fought twice since 2020.
You said the second time?
The first time that he's fought twice in 1 year, 2023. So last time was 2020.
Oh shit!
Was when he fought Ferguson and Khabib, in the same year. And
so
this
21 and 22 was both one fight. Oh yeah, because he fought
1 win, 1 loss.
Who do you beat in 21?
21 beat Michael Chandler, and then 22 was lost Oliveira, and then he got back, with that win against Fiziev. Man, I mean, I like Gaethje, man. I think I do, man. And I like Gaethje, honestly. I think he could put him away. I think he could he could get his lick back. I think he could get his lick back. I mean, wow. You agree? 100%?
No, I agree 100%.
Wow.
I think the only reason I mentioned I think he would retire is because he said he's only fighting for another shot at the strap at that point. If he's not, he's just beating around the bush, Yeah. He's already fought for the belt twice. But if he beats Poirier and Islam beats Oliveira, I think he'll get a title shot. And that'd be a good fight, I think, between Islam and Gaethje, because Gaethje said he wants to prove that Islam's not Khabib. So,
no, he's not. He's absolutely not. And I think Gaethje would be the man for the job because I trust Gaethje's. I think Gaethje would be able to stop. Wow, I can't speak. I think my body has hit and mine has hit a limit in terms of the podcast, that it's just not able to comprehend thoughts anymore and speak. But I think Gaethje, I think he'd be able to avoid the takedown, and I think he'd be able to work his way back to the feet if he does get taken down by Islam. So I think he makes for a good matchup. The kicks are obviously crazy for Justin Gaethje. And he's somebody that we know the power he possesses in his hands as well. He could put your lights out at any time. But in that fight against Fiziev, and as I feel like we've seen recently from Gaethje in a fight with Chandler as well, he's proven that he can be patient. He's not taking damage, and he's proven that he can be patient in the octagon. Something that we saw him early in his career, kind of rushing for finishes and seemingly kind of one dimensional. But I think the highlight
takedown ever.
The highlight, yeah. The highlight I think he has some juice left in the tank, and I think he finds a way to get the finish against Dustin Poirier. But for my third best bet, we're gonna go Gaethje money line at plus 125.
Well, if we're
just take your value there.
What's that by finish? I don't even know.
By finish, I could find it right now, but those odds are probably pretty good.
Well, while you look for that, I'll just say briefly.
Yeah,
if Poirier loses this fight, I think he'd be, as much as he. He's not really a weight bully, but the guy isn't weighing 170 cutting to 55. He walks. And I'm just gonna say this. Covington said that when they were trained together, Poirier was weighing a few pounds more than him, and mind you, they fight at 15 pounds apart, right? So if Poirier loses to Gaethje, he'll be out of the title picture, I think, at least for a few more fights. But at this rate, he's only fighting once a year, right? Yeah. We'll take away the McGregor. That was twice in 21 in January and in July. But we know how the second McGregor fight ended, unfortunately, with that that brutal leg injury. But then after that, he lost to Oliveira in 22. No, my dates are all fucked up.
He lost to Oliveira
No, he
in
didn't lose all of it in 22, did he?
no, he lost to Oliveira in 21. He
Ended
fought
21.
3 times in 21. So he fought
Like right
Connor in
against Travis.
January, Connor in July, and then Oliveira in December. But the last time he fought 3 times, you got to go way back to 2018, and then 2019 he fought twice. But since 2020, he fought once against Stan Hooker in that war, one of my favorite fights of all time.
Yeah.
And then 3 fights in 21, 1 fight against Michael Chandler at 281 last year, and now he's back against the Diamond.
Well, I guess if he loses this fight, and Covington loses his fight, that fight has so much animosity built around towards it, just because they don't like each other either. So if that fight, it'd be weird, because if that fight happened at 55, right?
Covington fight happened at 55.
Huh?
Covington would cut to 55.
I'm just saying, if he loses to Edwards, right, he's not getting a 4th consecutive welterweight title shot. Because this is his
Can
third,
he physically though? Yeah, it is. You're right.
Said he could make it.
He says he can.
He said he would fight anywhere from 55 to 85. 85, like, he's too stupid.
No, he'd do that. Yeah.
But I think if he loses to Edwards, I think that'd be smart on his part, because he wants to fight Islam. So if he makes that cut, but he doesn't look like he has a lot of mass when he weighs on when he steps on the scale, he doesn't look like he has a whole lot to cut.
Yeah.
But that'd be really good if he fought Covington. Covington beats him at 55. I think that would give him a title shot at 55. Because he'd be the number 3 ranked guy at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. I think the more realistic scenario is that Poirier would go up to fight Covington at 70. I can't see Covington going down after spending all of his time in his career.
He's been too inactive, Covington.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, again, so for someone who's very inactive to cut down like that, I can't foresee it personally, but. Listen, that's a fight game, and a lot of things could happen.
If he ever wants a chance at winning if he loses his fight to Edwards, he's not getting a title fight for a while in that division, because there's too many people who deserve it. Bilal, Shavkat, I even think Gilbert would get another one before he does.
Absolutely.
So he needs this win, or he needs to cut, because at that point he'll fight once every 2 years if he doesn't do either or.
Yeah, no, you're right. And if you want Justin Gaethje, at KO TKO right now, plus
350.
Plus 260. But then if you wanna make sure that you don't get cucked by the submission, to just get a finish for Justin Gaethje would be at plus 220. So I think good value on the finish. The crazy thing is it's better odds for both guys to get decision win. It's better odds for both guys to get KO TKO. You get Dustin Poirier at plus 210. Gaethje at plus 260, and then Poirier by points is plus 350, and Gaethje by points is plus 500. So it's a fight that a lot of fight fans feel, and the odds makers believe is gonna be finished, not gonna go the distance. So it's gonna be a good one. But I think that wraps it up for us here today. Your 3 picks for the fight card, for me at least, is gonna be Tony Ferguson at that plus 285. Give me Tony Ferguson all day. He's going to break the streak. And then I got Thompson Pereira to end in a decision, and I'm going with the highlight in the main event. So that's going to do it. Those are my 3 picks for 291. Fight fans, enjoy those fights, because they're going to be absolutely fantastic. This is probably my most anticipated fight card of the summer.
So 292 is right around the corner.
292 is right around the corner.
We got a lot of heat coming up.
No, we do. But in terms of overall fight cards from top to bottom, I'm most excited for this one. I mean, I love so many of these fighters are some of my favorites just in the sport. So it really doesn't get better than that for me, at least. But that's gonna do it for episode number 9. Again, we're 1 away from the illustrious number 10, when I'm gonna run out of fingers and I can no longer give you guys the count specifically, unless I maybe grow one out here.
Use my hand too.
Or there you go. We'll do that.
We got 11 more.
We'll keep a train going. We'll keep a train going. But that's gonna do it. MMA on the Island, episode 9 in the books. Hope you guys enjoyed. Enjoy 291. We'll see you next week for our reactions and our predictions for Sandhagen Font in Nashville. That's gonna be a good one as well. But until next time, take care from Bob, Aiden, and I. Enjoy the fight, folks. See you next time, everybody.